Yeah, you're on. Welcome to America's Mayor Live. What you hear in the background is what you will be hearing on Sunday at the Vatican if you get up at 4:30 in the morning. And that is the ancient hymn, Tu es Petrus. Ancient, really ancient. Not only that, it has a very, very large part to play in the history of music. Giovanni Palestrina, who was the author of You Are Peter, and upon this rock I will. No, he wasn't the author of that, Jesus Christ. In Matthew 16:18, You are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church. And the gates of hell shall not overcome it. And I will give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven. Whatever you bind upon earth will be bound in heaven. And whatever you release upon earth will be released in heaven. And I will give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven. That is sung frequently in repetition when the Pope enters for his inauguration or his investiture. There's a dispute as to what the Latin word is. It used to be coronation, and as the church scaled down a bit, somewhere in the 60s, they got away from coronation and they started calling it inauguration, like a president or elected leader, or investiture, like a priest or a bishop. I think investiture is the right word. But in any event, the Mass on Sunday will be done to officially make him Pope. It's like the coronation of a king or the swearing in of a president. And from the earliest days we can remember, meaning 1600, this was the hymn that accompanied the Pope. And it was written by probably, if not the most consequential composer in world history, one of the most consequential composers in world history, who doesn't get the attention he deserves, Giovanni Palestrina. Up until the time of Giovanni Palestrina, music was separated into two types, a cappella, orchestral. Church would never allow instruments in the church. Even when the Protestant churches emerged, no instruments. Palestrina was a beautiful and one of the greatest composers of Gregorian chant. So when he decided to use instruments, everybody said, well, if Giovanni wants to use instruments, we'll all use instruments. Hence, we ended up with instruments used at the great masses that every composer has created. Hence, we have oratorios. And finally, we have opera. And then musical comedy. It all goes back to an Italian, of course. Giovanni Palestrina doesn't get the credit he deserves. Okay, now to the more mundane. I told you at the end of the other show that there's a way to really, really screw Russia. And I don't know, it's past time to do it. You know I love our president. I do. He's been my friend for 40 years. There have been personal things that we've done for each other, all of which are completely legal, that would make us friends no matter what. But I do think he's waiting too long to punch Putin in the nose. It's time to not only punch him in the nose, but to do a Rocky Marciano, knock him through the ropes. And there's a way to do it without going to war. And here's what it is. Secondary oil sanctions. Now, you can figure out what secondary oil sanctions mean. So Russia is sanctioned. Russia is sanctioned from selling oil. Now, Biden did that very effectively for 1 year, and then he backed off. Stupidly, because he supposedly was on Ukraine's side. Where the hell do you think Russia got the money to go kill the Ukrainians? From that and from China. And China got tired. China said, hey, you fooled us. You told us you were going to go into Ukraine, just wipe those jerks away. And what, you've taken 20% of Ukraine, the big Russian army that we're all afraid of. Big Russian army, everybody's afraid of it. You can't take Ukraine? Like the United States of America, the greatest military power in the history of the world, has got to worry about you, punk? Now, if you didn't have nuclear weapons, you'd really be a punk. But you don't want to use them. Because you know the first nuclear weapon we return goes right on your freaking head. And you like women too much to die. I know that about you. I've met you. I know what a stone cold killer you are. And I don't like you like Trump does. Okay? You want to make, well, let me make it clear, Putin. I don't like you. Because I grew up as a prosecutor. I do not like murderers. And I really don't like mass murderers. Wow. Remember, I put them all in jail or tried to get them executed. So I don't like you, but I do understand we have to deal with you. I'm not a raving maniac. But we have to deal with you like you're a little dog and you do what we tell you. Because we can snuff you out. Your economy is 10% of ours. Except for nuclear weapons, you don't even have a military. You had to go get the North Koreans to help you. And they were shooting each other. And they were shooting you. They didn't know the difference between you and the Ukrainians. You're such a jackass. So here's what we got to do. We've got to take the sanctions. Of course, we got to keep the ones in place that are there. We've got to cut off all direct oil purchases from Russia. That'll do a lot of damage if we really enforce that. That might be enough to crush you with all the pressure you're getting from military spending. But there's a second way to really... Did you get that one? Secondary sanctions. So if you sell the oil to Turkey, we don't buy the oil from Turkey. In fact, at that point, we don't buy oil from Turkey at all. They go on the sanctions list. If you sell the oil to Vietnam, we don't buy the oil from Vietnam. They go on the sanctions list. And if Europe is serious about Ukraine, all of EU goes up, you go on the sanctions list. I don't think that's a hard sell, given their position on, if it were China, if we were doing this to China, China owns a little more of, Russia doesn't own any of Europe anymore. They've lost that by invading Ukraine. China, we got a problem. Germany, we got a problem. Maybe England, I'm not sure with England, could be. Spain, big problem. China owns Spain until we decouple it. But Russia doesn't own anybody anymore. So if we wanted to do secondary sanctions, you know how much oil you would sell? There's an Italian expression for it. It's called ugats. You'd sell nothing. You want that to happen? And what are you going to do? You're going to blow up an atomic bomb because you're angry at that? Well, the next thing that happens is we wipe out all of Russia. You don't want that. Putin, you like women too much to die. So you're not fooling me, pal. This is what is being recommended, as far as I can tell, by, I guess, what has now been derisively described as the hawks in the administration. I'm one of those. Okay. I worked for Ronald Reagan, not President Pussy Boot. Ronald Reagan. I understand what peace through strength means. It means having massive military strength. And it means having the courage to use it sparingly, but when necessary. I'm not asking you to use military strength. I'm asking you economic strength. I'm going to ask you to use military strength next, okay? So that's what we do with Russia if we want to end the Ukrainian war. And if we're serious in saving the lives of Ukrainians and Russians, who, by the way, this is not in favor of, there's nobody here, nobody you know who understands what a bad man Zelensky is. I can give you a chapter and verse. I dealt with him. I dealt with him right after he was elected. I dealt with his chief of staff, and I know how they double-crossed us. And I know all of the evidence of crimes that they are covering up, both in the United States and in the Ukraine. And the hundreds of millions that Zelensky has taken from his people. But he's not Putin. Zelensky's a crook. He's a political crook and a scoundrel. That defines half the people in politics. Putin is a stone cold killer. I told Bush that. I told Trump that. And you got to treat him like a stone cold killer. Read the chapter in my book, Stand Up to Bullies. It describes the whole history of the last 120 years. Every time we have it, we've had a war. And now we'll take a short break. U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month.
Wow.
Including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news, even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax, channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly, where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're gonna go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
We're back. This is Rudy Giuliani, and we're back again. Ted, I like that background much better than that dark stuff we had before. But can you tell me what it is?
That is the coast. That is, I believe, south of here. And my only concern now is whether or not we can get this to last longer than a few seconds.
Well, we'll get it to last for a few seconds, and people can be treated to how beautiful Palm Beach is, which is where we are right now. And I believe our president, which we always like to know where he is, I believe he's in the air between, probably would have left, I suspect, from Dubai. You could also leave from Abu Dhabi. Yeah, I don't know where he was last. It got confusing as to whether he was in Dubai or Abu Dhabi. The main trip was to Abu Dhabi, which was smart. They're richer. If you had to choose between the two, you can have more fun in Dubai by a lot. They're like cool people. Everybody escapes. All the guys with the white stuff on, they escape from there all the time. And the white stuff comes off right at the border. And then they're looking for their mistress, and they're looking for booze, and they're looking for this. And then they go back. No, I know this. I'm going to tell you why I know this. Years ago, not years ago, it's about 10 years ago, I was engaged by two of the clients of my firm, Bracewell Giuliani, to do a study on what Saudi Arabia was going to do about oil. So and we represented American oil companies who do business in Saudi Arabia. And my partners arranged a meeting for me with them for 2 days in Riyadh. And I was very excited about it because I've been in Dubai about 6 times, and I've been in Qatar 20 times. I had a business in Qatar. Bernie Carrick and I did. But I have never been to Saudi Arabia. Been to Bahrain, never been to Saudi Arabia. I just wanted to see it. And I thought this was a wonderful opportunity to see it because it was very restrictive at the time now. It's not as bad now. But I was only going to be there for 1 day. So I had to take 1 day of it, and I could go in there. All of a sudden, I get back from my contacts. They want to meet in Dubai. So, yeah, but I want to meet in Riyadh. I'll accommodate them. No, they want to meet in Dubai. Yeah, but I want to meet in Riyadh. I want to accommodate them. I went back and forth, but of course, they were the ones I had to interview. They said, well, how about we're not going to have an interview unless it's in Dubai? All right, well, I get to Dubai. They show up. I get my 3-hour interview, and the next thing they do is spend the entire night. I won't tell you doing what. But it wasn't with the white robes on and the prayer beads and saying the prayers and doing all that stuff. And then when I said goodbye to them, I said, thank you for letting us come to Dubai. And I understood exactly what they meant. So just get a little perspective of what goes on in that part of the world. I know the president's got it because, man, he did what no American president has ever done. He charmed the Middle East. And not going to Israel, please, you know, I love Israel almost as much as the United States, almost. And maybe as much as Italy. I don't know if I'm Italian or Jewish. I really don't. Religiously, I'm Roman Catholic, but ethnically, maybe I'd rather be Jewish, particularly the way you wipe out all those. I mean, I love your armies. I'm Israeli. I think if I could come back in a new life, I'd be Israeli. And I'd want to go kill all those Islamic maniacs who want to kill us, right, so they don't kill my children or my grandchildren. You know, that's what soldiers have to be. But I think, although at first I don't know if I raised it with you guys, but I was thinking, why doesn't he go to Israel? That isn't nice. Israel feeling a little, this is very smart. The Middle East needs this little extra attention. They need to know that an American president can go there and not have to visit Israel, that they're important enough they can go there just for them. That will do Israel a world of good. And you notice with all the stuff about his first thing he does with the president of Syria, who's a former terrorist, is say, you got to join the Abraham Accords, pal. You think that was just a request? I don't think so. And he says, you got to get rid of the terrorists because they're killing Christians like crazy there. Now, I don't think this guy is completely in control of that. And I don't think it's Christians directly. They're going into the section of Syria that used to be controlled by Assad. And Assad comes from the Alawite clan, or whatever you want to call it, right, of Muslims. So they're wiping out all the Alawites. Probably stupid to wipe them all out. You just create more enemies. But in addition, that's where the Christians live, so they're killing the Christians too. I know that Trump said, stop killing the Christians. We don't like it. I think he got the message. And I don't think he wants to. I think he wants to kill the Alawites, but he can't distinguish between them. So you better just stop. Stop the killing. Try to put together like a legitimate government. Recognize Israel. Get yourself in there behind Jordan, Egypt, right? The Emirates, Bahrain, and pretty soon Saudi Arabia. And we're going to have one hell of a group of allies there. And Iran can go pound sand. Well, really, they should pound sand because we get rid of their nuclear weapons, which is the next step in Trump flexing the muscles. It's time to stop talking to Iran. We've been talking to them for 54 years, and all they've been doing is killing us. Oh, maybe 4,000 or 5,000 Americans they've killed. That's why, Mr. President, you kill Soleimani. It's time to get rid of the Ayatollah. A very dangerous guy. Very, very, the most dangerous guy right now on earth, except for Xi Jinping and Putin. Maybe more dangerous than Putin. Maybe even less able to deal with than Xi Jinping. And the obstacle to your being probably the greatest peacemaker in American history. You get rid of that guy, you get peace in the Middle East. And then when they give you the Nobel Peace Prize, I think you should go there and you should say, here's the Nobel Peace Prize. Shove it. Sorry, I won't say the rest. Of course, you should have gotten the Nobel Peace Prize last time for the Abraham Accords. They gave the Nobel Peace Prize to Obama before he became president. All he did is make war, and they never took it back. What the hell is that worth? I was second for the Nobel Peace Prize in 2001 or two, maybe third. And I thought, if I get it, maybe I'll give it back because of the people they gave it to. Now, I don't have the legacy stakes that you do, and I probably am a little crazier, but I think I would have given it back because it's worthless. It's worthless. What the hell does it mean? Unless you think maybe it's going to change. Okay, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to have a very special guest who we've had on before, and it probably was one of the best segments, one of the best, what do you call us, clips?
Segment works. I think he was on for
segments that we've ever had.
Yeah,
it was more fun than almost anyone we ever had. Maybe Denny McClain.
Denny McClain on the show.
Who told the truth?
30-game winner,
31-game winner.
Wow!
But who threw the pitch to Mickey Mantle that let him get his home run? And oh man, what a great guy he was!
Right,
but we'll be right back.
Strap in, get your popcorn ready.
And I will be surprised by what background Ted shows up for me. Who the hell knows? It could be the depths of hell.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster, and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
Well, you see that picture there, Brendan? Tell them what that is.
That was from the
You
last
just
time
gave that to me, right?
Yeah, this is well, we know the America's mayor has a birthday coming up here, the end of
May
May.
28th, May
That's
28th.
right. And so the last visit we were here, we lit up some cigars at the end of our
We may do it again,
hangout.
even
And
though
so,
my throat has killed me.
yeah, well, Cigars will help with that.
It will. It will. Particularly if it's the right cigar, right?
Right. Exactly. So yeah, so I thought this was a great thing, and actually, one of the super fans sent me a couple of these, and so one of them was for you. So I thought you'd enjoy.
Okay,
that.
well, this is
great?
This is going to go up at a very special
That's
place.
Pretty cool.
This was one of the I have to say, Brendan, this was one of the most fun. I mean, I've done, I don't know, 100 interviews, whatever. You've probably done even more than that. This was one of the most fun interviews that I did.
I had a blast.
And also substantive, fun, but substantive. And I think that people absorb it more when it comes with a little humor. I know you know that. You dedicate yourself to that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it makes it a little bit more, especially because a lot of what we're talking about in politics, not everything is easily digestible because it's not always a good news. And so I think when you can add some levity, a little entertainment to it, it makes it a little easier to.
Well, I think everyone knows you, but tell them what you do.
I host the Dilly Show, but I'm also the man in charge of the Dilly Meme team. And so I coach the team and I run the Dilly Show and spend my days on working with my team to do everything we can to support this administration and the president and MAGA. So
you do broadcasts.
Yeah.
But you also you put out constantly memes.
Yeah.
That try to convey a message with humor.
Yeah, well, not just that. But
just humor, just plain humor.
Humor, but also we've got a lot of content. It's really about culture.
Yeah.
America's culture has completely died.
Of course it has.
And so much of what we do is try to revive that culture that so many Americans have completely forgotten through memes, through meme messaging for politics and inspiration and other things. So that's what we focus on. We got a team of 25 people.
And he's number one at it.
Yeah. There's nobody really close.
Not even. Here's number two.
Yeah. So we have a good time.
You do, and you're great. You're great at it. So, first topic that I haven't covered yet.
Let's do it.
Is the people that we're catching in the United States that were let in by Biden is corroborating, proving everything Trump said about how these countries just let their jails go free. So we just got a group of 6 babies in New York that are the baby trans de Aragua group. And they're beating the hell out of women. They're stealing things. They're scarring people. They get put in jail. They've been let out 6 times. And until now, nobody's ever told ICE about them. There's 2 years of, who knows, 100 crimes, 200 crimes. So it's crazy. Now, the one that so you have that. Then you have that happening all over America. It's not just New York where it's happening. There's a guy named Anthony Fabian Marion Latoro, 42, in Texas, not New York, who was wanted by Interpol for 4 contract murders before he came into the United States. And now he did a murder in the United States. And Biden let him in without checking him. And Trump has been saying forever that Maduro is sending them in personally. Doesn't this prove it?
Absolutely. It's pretty clear cut now. I don't know that there's any way the previous administration can avoid taking this essentially falling on their heads. It's too overt. The one you just named is a prime example. They knew
the guy was a contract killer. He was a contract killer for Tren de Aragua.
And he was wanted for the 4 murders. And the government knew about it at the time they allowed him entry into the United States of America and allowed him to stay. No, it's very overt what they were doing. And I think that, I thank God for what we have going right now as far as Tom Homan's job he's doing with deportations and Kristi Noem's job that she's doing at DHS. And all the people at Border Patrol. So
wouldn't it be enough if all Trump did was that? Suppose all they did was that. All they did was make us safe from these invaders, murderers, rapists, child traffickers, ethanol purveyors, whatever. I mean, I can't even mention all the things they do.
Right.
If what he did is make us safe from them, he'd be the greatest president of America.
Already. Absolutely. Yeah. No, I totally agree, especially because it's restored the sovereignty of our nation by restoring the border. It's a legitimate, real border again, where, this is Camelot. I say this on my show quite a bit. This is the United States of America. It is a gift and a privilege to be a citizen of this country or to have the opportunity.
100%.
come here.
Beautiful way to say that. Sure.
And this is why everybody, it doesn't, and this is really to drive home the point. Whether you are a great human being or a terrible criminal, everybody wants to come to the United States of America. It is the land of opportunity.
Except the asshole educated kids who are here who protest against it.
They're brainwashed. I feel,
And the professors who teach them.
That's a sad state of affairs.
I simplify it by saying it all comes from Marxism, but I actually think it's more complicated than that. I don't consider myself educated enough or smart enough to understand it completely, right. But it's sickening.
I think you hit it though. It is Marxism. I think it's cultural Marxism too. I think that's why we are missing a culture, because with culture, you tell stories through art form. When you have the absence of culture and art, you can indoctrinate. And so they've replaced art and culture, passions that college students and young people used to pursue, with political activation and radicalization.
Yeah, and pornography.
That also.
Yeah,
so
I mean, which is look, let's face it, it's very distracting.
Yes, especially if you're a young person.
People are affected by that. They have emotions, they have feelings. God almighty. So there's a kid gang in New York. The kid is 15 years old. He's already committed about 30 crimes. And we let him out all the time.
Right.
And until Adams finally came to Jesus, I guess, because of Trump, this guy was walking around New York for 2 years. We don't know how many people he killed. They say he didn't kill anybody, but we don't know. Look, I was in law enforcement for 20 years. I never thought that when I caught a guy, I actually got him for all his crimes. Right. I wasn't that good. Nobody's that good.
The ones you knew about.
Yeah, the ones I knew about. I mean, and then sometimes when they cooperated, they tell me the 50 they did.
Right.
And I'd say, oh boy. So this kid has done, it doesn't matter if he's a kid. If you kill my son, it doesn't matter if you're a kid. I want you executed. I'm sorry. I don't care if you're 12 years old.
And this is a whole gang of them. It's not even just one individual.
And what do you think he's going to grow up to be? Who the hell is going to rehabilitate this kid? Maduro? Well, in any event, I would like, you think you could help me get a meeting with the Pope?
With the Pope?
Yeah.
Maybe his brother here in Florida.
Maybe his brother. I'm trying to reach his brother. I can't get him. I call him. I think he's afraid of me. I hope not. He seems a tough guy.
He shares memes, so there's a chance that we could probably make this happen.
Well, I would like.
We'll talk.
I would like to have a reasonable, rational conversation with the Pope, because he can get very angry when I say this, but I think I know what's wrong with him, because I went through all this. I think he's reacting to the migration of when he left the United States, 1980s, 1990s, before Obama, Biden. And the truth is, if we go back to when I was Associate Attorney General for Reagan, with the exception of the Marielitos and some of the Haitians, most of the migrants committed less crime than the Americans. The Hispanics that came in here from Mexico wanted to work. They wanted to work on the farms, or they wanted to work in the restaurants. And they didn't want to commit crimes. Right. So if you looked at the people you were arresting for crimes, they were 10% down, 20% down. So now you hear all the time from the Catholic leaders, all of them, here, migrants don't commit the same number of crimes as Americans. Right. That's 20 years old, my friend. Outdated. I'll give you one statistic. 3 months ago, 60% of the crime in Queens, New York was illegal aliens. So who's committing most of the crimes in Queens, New York now? Because Biden did something catastrophic. He opened the country to everybody. Right. When you open the country to everybody, there's no restriction on the drug dealers, the terrorists. It's free time. Let me send everybody in.
Right.
You'd be a stupid terrorist if you didn't do it.
100%.
You'd be a stupid leader of a drug gang if you didn't do it. You'd be a stupid leader of a country that wants to hurt us, like China, if you didn't do it.
Right. Well, especially if you're a drug gang and your industry is in dealing drugs and other, nefarious things. You go to places like New York and other, Chicago, other places that are lax on crime, and I can set up shop and set up industry. I can create that chain to get people, whether I'm trafficking people or drugs, And the restrictions against this and the consequences are next to nothing. They're going to let you out. They're not going to, they're not going to hold you for very long. Depending on your age, they might not even charge you. And they're putting these people right back on the street. And not only that, on top of it, we've been also financially incentivizing them through all the different, whether it's the debit cards or the hotels or the medical.
Adams used to give him a credit card.
It's unbelievable.
So did the guy in Chicago. So did the guy in Colorado. So did the guy in
California.
But here's what I'd like to say to the Pope. Holy Father, would you just trust me for a minute? Just trust me. I've been doing this for 50 years. The group that came in starting in 2021 is a disproportionately large criminal group, much more so than ever before in our legal or illegal immigration.
Right.
For a very simple reason that your common sense will tell you I'm right. Because he did away with all restrictions.
Right.
He said, everybody come in.
Yep.
We're not going to check you. We're not going to look at you. We're not going to do anything. So I have a lot of fentanyl. I say, now's the time to really get it into the United States. I got a lot of Chinese spies. Now's the time to get it into the United States. I got a lot of terrorists who bomb your buildings. Now is the time to get it into the United States. You're not even going to effing check.
No.
I won't say that with the Pope.
Now, as far as
so what you're doing is you're getting your people killed. So who is he killing? He's killing the good people. Some of them Catholic, some of them Christian, some of them Jewish, some of them who knows what. But they're innocent. They're killing innocent people in this country. 60% of the crime in Queens is illegal aliens that you, Pope, are encouraging to come in. If that 60% were gone, crime, which has gone down in New York this year, would go down, boom, almost like I did. I couldn't have handled this unless you supported me.
So my question about the Pope.
But he's a good man. I think he would understand it.
Has he actually spoken on immigration?
Yes.
Or do we just have the tweets?
We have the tweets.
Do we have more than that?
I don't know if he's ever given a lecture on it. Yeah, I know.
I only ask because of
honestly, I don't know if we have like a speech on it.
Because I'm not always sold that the man tweeting with his account is always the man.
But I do understand why he could misunderstand this. A lot of people do.
Absolutely.
A lot of people do not understand the difference between this group of migrants.
Yes.
And the migrants we had, the legal ones and the illegal. The illegal ones we used to have in the 70s, 80s, 90s were much better.
Well, they were heavily focused on work.
Right.
It was work and sending money back home.
It didn't mean they didn't send in criminals.
Yeah.
But the criminals were the exception.
Right.
Now the criminals are the rule.
Yes.
Because they're controlling it.
Absolutely.
The cartels are controlling it.
Right. It turned into an industry.
And they're hurting his people, people of God. And the church and the Episcopalian church is way over the top. Episcopalian church got like $80 million to let migrants in by Biden. And now they're begging for it. And Trump has cut them completely off. But the Episcopalian church, I know I'm going to get all kinds of, not even a church anymore. Come on. You were founded by a murdering adulteress, right? And from then on, it's been like, and you really are Catholic, so come on. You know, there may be more Catholics in England now than Anglicans.
Really?
Yeah, because the people in England want structure. And the Episcopalian church has become like, ugh.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Everyone wants chaos. Can't live among them.
Well, Mayor, I don't know if I believe we talked about this.
You come and
briefly.
save me. Yeah. I can't talk anymore, but I can't stop because I love to talk.
Brendan was recently at the White House.
I was.
At least for one press briefing. I don't know. How many days were you there?
I just went for the one press briefing.
So Brendan was there with Caroline and the gang.
Did the show from there too.
Did he get to do
you got to do the show from there?
Did he get to do a question?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. So I'm going to get that. I'm going to pull that up here.
It went viral.
I thought I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, we did see it. He did.
I think we put that on.
Yeah, we're gonna bring that up, and then they put you.
We put that on.
They put you up in the old executive office building, correct?
We cover
For
you.
the show.
Thank you.
They put him in the old executive office building.
Yeah.
Or he was. They have a setup over there.
Yeah.
You got to interview my son. I'll tell you all about that. He's running FIFA.
FIFA? Like soccer?
So today I get a call from a congressman right early. I'm 6:30 in the morning. I get a call from a congressman. He says, Mayor, hey, by any chance, is Andrew Giuliani your son? I said, yeah. What did he do? He said, he's the head of FIFA. I said, I know. Would you call him? I don't have his number. Okay, here's his number. Go call him. The president appointed him as the head of FIFA.
That's incredible.
Which nobody knows actually begins now with sort of a practice run during the summer with the club championships. Right. So in order to give us an opportunity to get ready for FIFA, all the clubs in Europe and whatever have picked their best club, like, I don't know which ones, but Manchester United or Roma, or they come over to the United States. It's going to be half of what FIFA would be. Okay. And they're going to use some of the stadiums to see if they're okay. And then somebody will get a cup. Nice. But Andrew's job is to coordinate that and then handle the security and everything else. And I told the president, boy, I mean, he loves my son, not as much as I do, but pretty close. And sometime I'll tell you the whole story, but he loves my son more than me. So I got to deal with that. When I go to Mar-a-Lago, you know what I get stuck with? Or the Trump golf course? Where's Andrew? Is Andrew with you? And then I get a disappointed. Well, Andrew hasn't been here for a couple of weeks because he used to be a professional golfer sponsored by Trump Golf. Wow. And everybody at the Trump Golf Course here in West Palm rooted for him when he played in Italy, France, Serbia, and he won a couple of championships there. Then he came back and he worked for Trump for 4 years in the White House. And now he knows how much he loves sports, and he put him in charge of FIFA.
That's fantastic.
But when he wants to win a golf thing, like really big, he gets Andrew to do whatever he's doing and drop it and come and play with him. Because if you meet the president with me, before he tells you about me, he'll say, his son is the best closer in golf.
That's great.
He knows how to win on the last holes, 16, 17, and 18. And it's damn uncanny.
He's clutch.
Yeah, every time he plays me, we have, a division of strokes. No matter what, I'm beating him by 16, 17, 18. He makes it up.
You're cooked.
Yeah, I'm finished. I don't even try anymore.
That's great. You must be proud.
You know what I'm really happy about?
Yeah.
Klaus Schwab is getting kicked out.
Yeah.
Klaus Schwab.
He's fading away.
He turns out he's a goddamn sorry, Pope. A damn crook. He's a damn crook. He and his wife have been stealing forever. Like, I didn't know that. Do you know how often I went to the World Financial Forum when I was like the number 1 or 2 speaker in the world? I did 1,000 speeches for the Washington Speakers Bureau. A few less than Colin Powell. There was a time I was the single biggest speaker in the world. When 9/11 happened, nobody wanted speakers anymore. Washington Speakers Bureau got me, and I revived the business. I did 1,000 speeches between 2002 and 2018.
Holy. Have you met Klaus Schwab?
Oh, my God, yes. Have I met Klaus Schwab? I have met Klaus Schwab. Will you come and talk at the World Forum? No. Why? Because you're a bunch of communists. I am not a communist. Well, if you're not a communist, what are you, a fascist? I don't agree with one world. I'll come and give you a speech if you'd like me to explain why a one world government would be a disaster. And it would be playing into the hands of China. Would you like me to do that? No, I would not like you to do that. So in other words, you're not inviting me. That's right. In other words, you censor what the people here at the World. Yeah. Well, of course I do. I come from Nazi Germany. Oh, who was your father and grandfather?
Oh boy,
were they involved with the Third Reich? A lot of people think they were. I'm not sure. Would you tell me first before I come? And now he and his wife are accused of stealing hundreds of effing millions of dollars. And I could have told you that 20 years ago when he first invited me. You know how often I spoke at the World Financial Forum Do you know how valuable it would have been to my business to do that?
0 times.
Effing none. I went there once to observe it. And I said, I'm not talking to these jackasses. I don't know. It could mean another 50 million in business. The hell with it. I already had, for about 5 years, the biggest security business in the world. What did I need those jackasses for?
So it turns out you can't trust Nazis with hundreds of millions of dollars, or they'll steal it.
No,
So
I don't know
sounds
about
like-
Klaus Schwab being a Nazi.
Descendants
He
of
is
Nazis.
he certainly has become a communist.
Oof.
And his wife is no better. And he's a goddamn, like he's a damn,
Yeah.
like Biden, simple, like I related to the people I prosecuted. He's just a crook.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just like a miserable little crook.
It seems to
Like
be the theme.
Biden,
A lot
like
of these guys are
Biden
low
was.
IQ, but they're thieves.
Biden was a simple little crook, and now they're going to do a big investigation of how much money he stole. It'll be a lot. I don't know why they need an investigation. If it'll be a lot of money, Klaus Schwab says, if I had gone private, I would have been a billionaire. But when did you go private, Klaus? You didn't.
Why do these guys never leave when they've got them? Like he could have left 5 years ago before all the health issues. Why do they always
Because
hang on?
he wants to maintain his legacy.
Is that what it's all about?
I want to maintain my legacy since probably, please don't take this seriously. There is a possibility in Klaus's background. We got one of those people who ran concentration camps that I sent off to their death. 2 of them. My feeling always was that Klaus had a father or grandfather who was, just a feeling, a Nazi. And there is some research that supports that, not definitive.
Maybe.
Not definitive.
Allegedly, of course.
And you know the difference between a Nazi and a communist? This much. Remember that Stalin, at the height of the war, allied with Hitler.
Yeah.
That was his natural partner. Hitler threw him out. He didn't want to be with us, England, United States, free countries. He wanted to be with Hitler. We threw him out, and then Roosevelt sold out to him. Someday we will get an actual, true recitation of American history, and it'll really help us figure out our way through the world. But, Trump has it in it. I know Donald for 40 years, and Trump is, I would not consider Trump like an intellectual or a historian, but he's like a vacuum cleaner for information.
Yeah.
And he does have firm, true beliefs.
Yes.
Despite all of the, for example, this whole thing on trade, this has been developing for 40 years.
Yes.
He's been complaining about our stupid trade deals since the time I didn't even understand them.
Nope.
I was the mayor. What did I give a care about trade deals? He would come to me and say, we would have lunch or dinner, or we'd be at a conference or something. He'd say, that trade deal was the stupidest damn thing I ever saw. And I'd listen to it and I'd say, you're right. Why did Bush do that? Or why did Clinton do that? He said, because, I don't know, maybe they sold out.
Yeah.
And I'd say, yeah, it's ridiculous. Why would we give away our steel industry? He predicted it. If you vote for him in Pennsylvania or in Michigan, you're voting for the guy that was on your side when they were taking your jobs away.
The entire time for 40 years.
He was bleeding for you.
Yeah.
He used to come to me and say, this is good. I didn't even understand it completely.
Right.
I would say I understood. Look, I had my own things to think about, right? So what am I thinking about Michigan for? I got 2,000 freaking murders a year in the mafia, but I'm thinking about it. He's right. What are we doing that for?
Right.
And now the Wall Street, they're all attacking him.
Well, I'll tell you what, I was on the campaign trail in Michigan, and I will say that the coalition of auto workers was one of the most robust I've ever seen in history.
and they were organized, and they were a staple at basically every rally. And we had a few major guys like Brian Panabaker from Auto Workers for Trump, just knocked it out of the park every time.
Well, Trump is absolutely right. They took the automobile industry, they stole it from us. So Americans can't have those jobs anymore. Those are good jobs.
Great jobs.
And they're going to get better and better and better. They're going to be higher and higher level. And it's a horrible thing what was done to us. And when he was telling me about it, I would know it. I would know he's right, but I didn't have time to do anything about it because I was. Right. I'm worried about
so
Heather has two mommies. Was a teacher in the public school. Right. Jesus, I can't let all my kids become like wacky. And I'm
right. You only got so much bandwidth as a man.
Right. But I knew he was right. I knew he was right. And you'll probably find quotes where I said he was right. And I often thought, I often thought during that period, like a lot of people, maybe this guy should go into politics.
Right.
I used to think that. I used to think, maybe he should go into politics. But I wanted to run for president, so I said, not before me.
That's right. Well, of course, we all know.
And when I ran for president, he supported me. Not only that, he gave me my best fundraiser at his golf course. We raised about $1 million, maybe more. And then, of course, I had to give out the awards for the winners of the tournament.
Nice.
Okay. So we're standing there. I hope we have a tape of this somewhere. I said, number 3, number 2, number 1, not a big surprise, Donald Trump and his group. Now, I have to tell you the truth. Whatever you think about his like messing around in golf or whatever, please talk to my son. He is like a really good golfer. In fact, he's a miracle at 78 years old. Yeah. The way he played last time I played with him was about 3 years ago. I watched him play about 2 months ago. He's better now than he was 3 years ago. I do not understand it, and I'm going to put my son on for an interview who plays with him and can give you an analysis of it.
That's
but
incredible.
as he gets older and
that's supposed to happen.
He gets better.
Legend.
I mean, he's getting closer. He's pretty close to a 0 handicap again. He used to be 2-3. My son is below 1.
Wow.
Sometimes, golfers are strange, but the guy, there's something very special about him. I wish we're very lucky to have him, and I wish we wouldn't abuse him as much as we do.
Amen.
The good thing about it is it doesn't throw him off.
You know what was so refreshing was seeing the way he was treated, and I said this on my show today. The way that they treated him in the Middle East, the love and admiration, just to see him finally get that type of response, which he deserves and he's earned. And then it made me ultimately very ashamed of how this country, the media, and our politicians treat him.
Yeah.
Because he can go abroad to these other countries who understand what he's trying to achieve and what he is doing and what he's overcome. And he receives the respect that he deserves and the admiration. And then in this country, we have an entire segment of our political class that want him to fail for no other reason than they have an axe to grind.
That's a great point.
And that it just made me really sad because I thought, look at the little kids screaming. They've got the American flags. You're in a foreign nation.
Yeah.
And they're celebrating.
Very removed from America, the Middle East. My God.
Right. And to see the way he was treated, it was like, this is the way this country should be treating him. And obviously his own supporters do that. But the general public, thanks to the fake news media and the way that they have conditioned the public to speak about him. And then to have to hear these congressional members on the other side slander him and drag his name through the mud. And, they lie about everything. They lie and they misrepresent the facts about everything, whether it's a jet coming from a foreign nation being given to the Department of Defense.
Oh, come on.
Now it's his personal jet. They want to frame it as, he's accepting gifts from foreign countries. Right. And
right. Because they give him a jet. the America First president is going to give up America for the jet?
Right, come on. For a guy who
Or
already
is
has
he
a
going
jet.
to say, he's going to save us a lot of money because we don't have a jet right now? It's going to cost us enormous amounts of money that we have to take from building up our military. They want to give it to us, screw them. And I know Trump. Because I was like that. Trump says to them, you're not going to get anything for this. If you think all you're going to get are great, honest decisions, isn't that what you want? They all say, and then you, boom.
Right. Well, it turns out today.
I had all kinds of people that gave me money that thought they were going to get this, they were going to get that, they were going to get this, they were going to get that. And then they would come to me and say, I thought I was going to get this. And I said, you're going to get a good mayor.
There you go.
Okay. I know he has done that. I'm going to tell you how I know it. Because between 2017 and 2020, several of his biggest donors abandoned him over China. You know what he told them? Go to hell. His single biggest donor told him he was making a mistake over China. And he said, your greed is getting you to make a mistake over China. And he lost all that money in 2020. He got it back in 2024 because the guy is dead now. But I know personally from the inside what this guy is like, and it just drives me crazy.
It turns out today that Qatar is saying that they began the offering of that jet during the Biden administration. They just disclosed this today. Is that this conversation began in the last administration? So now they're even misrepresenting the facts that this even began. It was Joe that originally said, "Sure, that sounds like a good idea."
I'm gonna say this to you: if I took that jet, you could be confident I wouldn't do a single damn thing different with Qatar than I did after they gave me the jet. And I'm gonna tell you, my friend Trump wouldn't either. Doesn't really matter if they gave him the jet. The way he looks at it is they should give us the jet. We do so much for them. I don't have to do anything for them.
Right.
Why the hell do I have to do anything for them? We do so much. We protect them. Right. If it wasn't for them, I don't know, 30 years ago, Iran would have taken them over.
Right.
So I'm entitled to that jet. Screw you.
Right.
So, but this is the only thing I don't like about it is I don't like giving them an issue.
Who an issue?
Any of those left-wing kooks.
I'm on the other end.
So here's what I think. I think you take the jet and you leave it ambiguous as to what's going to happen to it. You don't have to say you're going to take it for your library.
Right.
Maybe you're going to leave it for the United States. If you leave it for the United States, they can't do anything.
Right.
They can't do anything. But
how much have we given to everybody else for the last?
Well, I mean, it's true. It's absolutely true.
I think every country should be paying us tribute.
Yes.
That's a good start. Who's next?
No. But what's the difference between the jet, which is what, 400 billion?
Yeah.
400 billion?
Million. Yeah, because it has been retrofitted.
My God. So it's nothing like the 1.2 billion that Saudi Arabia is going to give us.
No.
So why wouldn't we sell out to Saudi Arabia?
Correct.
For 1.2 billion.
Trillion.
1.2 trillion.
Extra
you know, the investments this guy, now, every investment banker in America goes to Saudi Arabia to ask for their sovereign wealth fund to give them money. Why shouldn't we get money from them?
It's true.
They get our protection, so they should help our economy. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean that we're going to do anything dishonest with them. If you think if Saudi Arabia double crosses it, if you think the president, who's America first, is going to let that go by, you're crazy. You don't understand him.
You wouldn't tolerate it.
So what he did in the Middle East, I think, was couldn't have been done by any other president we've ever had. He actually turned around the Middle East, and I think he may have saved Israel in doing it. I think these guys are going to make peace with Israel.
It felt like a giant sales pitch.
I think he
cooperation.
Yeah, I think he wants to say, you want to get it all together. You go with Israel. Now we got a coalition in the south of the Middle East. You can't touch that coalition. You got the richest country, Saudi Arabia. You got the best military, Israel. Then you got some pretty damn good militaries in Egypt, Jordan, right? You got the Emirates and Qatar. You got the Emirates. You got Bahrain. Plenty of money. I mean, they can afford anything. What are they going to do up there? We've already gotten rid of Assad. We're trying to bring in the guy from Syria to part. If we bring the guy from Syria into that, we totally destroy them.
He was, I believe he was presenting the opportunity to join the.
And I think that guy, the way he was dressed in a suit, and I think that guy wants to straighten himself out.
Yeah.
I mean, he wants to be part of the.
President Trump represents a rebrand and a reset for
Yeah,
everybody.
this guy can save me.
It's a chance.
From my terrorist
I want to
past.
be something different.
Yeah. And there were Israelis who did the same thing. Yeah. I mean, there were Israelis terrorists who saved themselves that way. So I'm not against that. I think that's a great. He's operating at a level of thinking that
Very high level.
completely passes these morons.
Well, and that's the sad part too, is that the people covering him are mouth breathers, and most of them are not very smart.
Love that term.
Yeah, it's brutal, man.
What are they?
Mouth breathers.
Mouth-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Mayor, of course, the Brendan and his entire team, known, of course, as the Dilly Meme team, he's brought one of his top guys with him tonight. We all know him. Maybe we can get him on here at the end.
California.
Miguel.
Can we put him over there and put a camera on?
we're gonna get him on. We're gonna get him on here
Come on.
if he's open to it. In the meantime,
Doesn't
Mayor,
look shy to me.
we're gonna play. This is the Dilly Meme team's latest video. Let's check it out.
Is this the one we just launched, Ted?
Pull the chair. We'll get it. Pull that chair. Yeah, look, hold on. Move that.
Look just got back today. More greatness of America on display. Haters embarrassed, nothing to say. A president that never stops working. America's back, we love the sound. When the world needed leaders, they couldn't be found. But we fought, prayed, we stood our ground. President Trump is the warrior we needed. The boys are back in town, the boys in town. Boys are back in town. Boys are back in town. Boys are back in town. The boys are back in town. The boys are back. God bless America. God bless President Trump.
Come on, come on. Give me the microphone. Take a minute. You got that one? Is that one on?
Yes, well,
That was fabulous, wasn't it? Wow, what an upbeat presentation in a very, very succinct way of what he accomplished there. I don't know. I don't want to overdo it, but I think this trip to the Middle East may have been one of the most significant American president has ever done in maybe 30 years.
Right.
This is a different way of dealing with the Middle East, where they're not just like a footnote to Israel, but they're important.
Yeah.
At the same time, he made it clear it's very important they make peace with Israel, but not as a footnote to his appreciating that.
right.
I think that's gonna roll the whole thing out.
And that is a big difference from when he visited back in 2017.
Yes.
Because he had went from Israel to Saudi Arabia, I
Right.
believe, right?
They weren't ready yet.
But that was part of that trip. And you're right, this trip, he completely gave them all the attention.
Yeah, and he's showing a way they can do it.
Right.
Now, what do you call that? A meme?
Yeah, that was me.
Man, that was brilliant.
Great.
Now, who did that?
The man that did it is Miguel Fornia.
Okay, can we get the camera on him,
We're
Ted?
gonna get the camera on
Nice.
Miguel.
This is the
Fornia.
man who did. We always like to go to the person who did it. This man is the head of it, but this is the man who did it.
Yeah, that's the
So
talent.
tell us.
Talent
Mr. Mayor, first of all, it's an honor to meet you, sir.
Oh my goodness,
You're like,
it's an honor to
Right,
meet you.
no, you're amazing, sir. What you did during 9/11, we have cigar stores. We got to talk because
We're gonna
it's
have
just an honor
cigars
to
later.
be here. So thank you for having us. The meme is a collaboration of our team. I love that song. The boys are back in town, and the trip has been historic. Isn't it nice waking up every day and there's just winning happening, winning after winning? And so the memers, Jay Scott and Lauren and Brandy, we go, let's put some clips together. And I wrote new lyrics and we did it. And that's how we do it. We do it fast. Speed kills. So thanks for playing it.
Now,
it just came out right before.
So how many of these? I mean, you guys are, as I said, you're number one. Let me give you the right place here. You're number one. And then number two is down here somewhere. Okay. We don't know where they are.
We don't know.
The memes are brilliant.
Thank you, sir.
So how do you do it every day? What's the discipline every day to figure out how the hell we're going to summarize, whatever is the most important thing? Or
well, for me, see, we have 20 people. So we have people all over the country. We didn't even meet really until election, the inauguration, but I'm older. So I love music, right? So it's saving America is bringing back the culture, like Brendan said. So we analyze and then we write songs. We're doing a thing with Byron Donalds. And so I made a Barry White meme. So he's like, instead of going, oh, baby, I took his speech and I put it with Barry White, and so we're doing some Marvin Gaye and we're making him into this, and it's just, we analyze what's happening. The DeSantis thing was hella funny. I mean,
which one was that?
Well, we did I did 300 of them. Yeah, we just.
Oh yeah.
He did 300 by himself.
Yeah.
Has he gotten over it yet?
No.
No.
The DeSantis hate this man by name.
No. You got to,
Despise him.
I will say that DeSantis has the breadth of character to be president if he can overcome that. No, I'm serious.
It's big.
You don't understand that. I've studied a lot what it means to be president. I even ran wondering whether I was worthy. You got to understand that if you're going to be president, but we'll get to that some other time.
Oh, but it's.
But you really made sure the primary came out the right way. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, we
we were deeply involved in it.
Well, but see,
we were.
For us, we do things kind of ahead, meaning that when it's not popular, right? DeSantis was an all-time high, and we're like, well, there's a problem because we're 100% Trump, and so we wanted to clear the field, and so we take chances. Not always popular, but almost always accurate, 100%. But you're a hero. Like all the memers right now are in the room. They're
geeking out.
They're like,
they
we're super fans of Mr. Giuliani.
Tell them who we had last night.
Last night, was it last night or 2 nights ago?
Last night.
Was that? Geez, time's moving. James O'Keefe?
Jim O'Keefe.
Nice.
Wow, nice.
Was that last? Yeah.
Yeah, they're torturing that guy.
yeah. But of course,
all he does is get it on tape.
Right.
yeah. So Brendan Dilley, of course, Mayor, they've been doing this for a number of years. And so, when did you start? Because we started seeing your memes.
So what happened was I recruited the team and formed the actual team back in 2021, right as everybody was getting removed from Twitter. And just prior to Joe Biden being sworn in, I created the team and brought all of this content creators because I knew they were all these brilliant people they had been creating content, but now if you don't have a social media account,
right,
you're not going to create. So I didn't want to see them abandon the art form. I grabbed all of them and
So this was in 2020?
2021,
okay.
right before Biden was sworn in. And what I did was I grabbed all of them and I said, look, no matter what happens to your social media accounts, I will always play your content on my show. You will always have an audience.
Yeah.
And then from there, we started collaborating because prior to this, everyone operated individually and almost nobody would team up.
Yeah.
And I was the first person that grabbed 30 people at that time, almost 40 people, and said, we're all going into this room. None of you have Twitter accounts anymore. So create content for my show.
Yeah.
And then it became a matter of like trying to top one another because we were just entertaining ourselves, dealing with those first 6 months or 12 months of Joe.
Wow.
That's how it started, was just.
Oh, Joe Biden.
Yes, of Joe Biden. It was almost like Wayne's World. We were like doing this thing just for us. It was about, for us and for MAGA that was still really coping with what had just happened during the election and everything else. So that's how it started.
But Mr. Mayor, they, after the DeSantis, go ahead.
Yeah, no. How did you find all the people?
Actually, so this is a true story.
Did they come to you?
I went to Mike because I had already been banned from social media. So I went to Mike and Mike was connected to all of the memers.
Mike?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
in
Mike,
California.
all
So
right.
I go to
Yeah.
Miguel.
Yeah.
So I go to California and I say, Mike, I need you to give everybody a link to this room that I'm creating. Any memer that wants to continue to create, do not let them give up. Tell them to come here. We're going to hang out. We're going to create stuff.
Yeah.
And he went.
So what did you do, Mike?
Well, I hadn't been kicked off Twitter yet, not till after January 6th. But I went around to the members. Well, when we all came back, there was that
He
one
was at
day.
J6.
It was Black Friday. They kicked off everybody on that day.
Me too.
Did they? Yeah, that Friday. It was the 9th, right?
Yeah.
And we all
We're
got
part of
kicked
a club.
off. And thank God for Elon. I thank him every day
Yeah,
because he brought us back. And I really think he saved the world, meaning that
I agree
we
with you.
came on, Brendan
The
and I were
guy
doing
is
some event.
whatever else happens, the guy is
Agreed.
entitled to saving free speech.
They allowed us back on
I think
in
he saved
November.
free speech in America.
November 22, we came
Yeah.
on and we're like, Brendan, he goes, dude, they let me back on Twitter. We're like, what the hell? What the hell? And so we started posting shit like everything, right?
Right.
And so I thank God for him. But we got the room together and we just started collaborating. So it's one thing to do songs. I'm like the Weird Al guy. I make songs parodies, but then you have somebody that's a great creator, a great script writer, a great editor, and we get together, and none of us had met forever until inauguration. A lot of us
Until inauguration of
This year.
this year.
We worked
we-
for 4 years remotely.
None of us had
Wow.
met. We haven't met every
so
state.
you were working with people that were just feeding
Yes,
things to
it's
you.
a great story.
and
We're
you
like
were
the-
and you were they were doing
I'm in
what?
California. I'm
So
in Los
what part
Angeles.
were they doing?
Well, everybody has a different
Everyone
part.
does different
We have a
things.
singer, Leah. She's a Miss California.
She sang the national anthem at Coachella for
At the
President Trump
rally.
this year. Or this last election.
So we do
October.
women's songs. We do songs, but then we have public service, and now we make fun.
AI.
We
do
make
a lot
fun of
AI.
everything, pretty much.
Right.
Yeah, we made a God Made Trump. We did a Paul Harvey voice,
Right,
and President Trump played it at all the Iowa rallies,
right.
right? And so the religious right came at us for that. But we're always pissing somebody off, you know. But that's what the culture does, right? Because it's not humor. George Carlin, right? My goodness, and the old
Right.
Saturday Night Live was funny. You could be funny
Right.
and political, but with Obama and everything, it got really safe. And so we're kind of the counterculture, and we take great pride in that
And you continue that.
Yeah, every day.
every day.
Every day.
Yeah, every day. It's really
Yeah.
one remarkably creative thing after another.
Thank you.
Well, here's God Made Trump.
And on June 14th, 1946, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker. So God gave us Trump. God said, I need somebody willing to get up before dawn, fix this country, work all day, fight the Marxists, eat supper, then go to the Oval Office and stay past midnight at a meeting of the heads of state. So God made Trump. I need somebody with arms, strong enough to rustle the deep state, and yet gentle enough to deliver his own grandchild. Somebody to ruffle the feathers, tame cantankerous World Economic Forum, come home hungry, have to wait until the First Lady is done with lunch with friends, then tell the ladies to go and come back real soon, and mean it. So God gave us Trump. I need somebody who can shape an axe, but wield a sword, who had the courage to step foot in North Korea, who can make money from the tar of the sand, turn liquid to gold, who understands the difference between tariffs and inflation, will finish his 40-hour week by Tuesday noon, but then put in another 72 hours. So God made Trump. God had to have somebody willing to go into the den of vipers, call out the fake news for their tongues as sharp as a serpent's. The poison of vipers is on their lips, and yet stop. So God made Trump. God said, I need somebody who will be strong and courageous, who will not be afraid or terrified of the wolves when they attack, a man who cares for the flock, a shepherd to mankind who won't ever leave nor forsake them. I need the most diligent worker to follow the path and remain strong in faith and know the belief of God and country, somebody who's willing to drill, bring back manufacturing and American jobs, farm the lands, secure our borders, build our military, fight the system all day, and finish a hard week's work by attending church on Sunday. And then his oldest son turns and says, Dad, let's make America great again. Dad, let's build back a country to be the envy of the world again. So God made Trump.
Wow.
President loves that one.
That's that's one of our shining jewels, Lauren Eve.
The president absolutely loves that one.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Bad
Wow.
Karma did the
Wow.
script for that one.
So see, it's not just making fun or parroting people, but it's telling people what's great.
So
about America.
what you just did is express the true beliefs of a very, very large number of Americans. If people want to reject that or think it's fine, but that is not just you. That's, I don't know, 30% of America, 40, 50% of America believes that. I do.
Yeah.
I do. I'm absolutely convinced that God, from the moment he was saved at Butler, I'm absolutely convinced that God had a plan for him. Well, I kind of believe God has a plan for all of us, but that kind of rekindled it.
Yes.
So I think that's a very, very legitimate.
Thank you, sir. Yeah,
But you don't have to believe it's a very legitimate one, but you have to look at the individual accomplishments, and they're all true.
Right.
Yeah.
So whether it's God who did it or we're just lucky, that's a very, very valid. It's a powerful.
Thank you.
Thank you,
very,
sir.
very powerful.
Appreciate
Very proud
that.
of that.
We're very
Well,
proud
you
of
should
that.
be very proud of it. It's
Thank you.
beautiful.
But we do, yeah, we have so much content. We never stop. We never sleep.
Literally never.
So what do you do every day? You come up.
Oh,
you
2 or
look at what-
3. If somebody says something
Yeah.
stupid, we make fun. Like every time Ron DeSantis kept rubbing his nose, he
That
kept,
was Mike.
and then he would shake hands. But President Trump, I would put a video. It's like,
Every time
what?
he did this,
Yeah.
what do you do this?
And President Trump would always retweet it on Shoot Social.
Yeah, he would put it on there.
And
Was
you
he
know,
was he picking his nose?
yeah, he would be like,
Oh
this.
my God!
Oh, he did it even at the 9/11 thing. He was with Casey. And he's like this, and then he's shaking everyone's hands.
Yeah, it was really
Oh no! Hey, you know what I did, Mr. Man? Hey, dude, find Booger Man. I took an Elton John song, Rocket Man, and I called it Booger Man.
Oh yeah, it was great.
And I wrote a whole song, and the whole video, it's got like 30 things of him picking his nose. It's very sad.
But we do this every day, whether what we were just doing this.
So if I were Ron DeSantis, I'm going to tell you, you did that to me. I'd make friends with you now.
Yeah, well, you think?
You think?
I think we're past that point.
No, he's got he just did a really good thing. He banned fluoride.
I saw
I
that.
saw that.
Yeah.
It's a good move.
That's a good move. It's a gutsy thing to do. He's only the second one to do it. And whether Kennedy is exaggerating it or not, there is a problem with fluoride if you use too much of it, and particularly with children. And Colgate, all those, they're completely scoundrels. So you're only supposed to give until 6 years old this much of Colgate or Crest toothpaste to a child, this much, because it contains too much fluoride for them to handle. You know, the warning on, I have a Crest thing here. The warning is like this big.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So everybody's been giving these kids this thing. And the warning is that it could have a substantial impact on their mental health.
Cognitive ability.
Yeah.
Up until 6 years. But Colgate and Crest don't prominently display that. So you as a parent know that. But much means they're a bunch of lying creeps. And there's no reason why Robert Kennedy shouldn't point them out. And everybody is, I know who's going after him. Everybody who's paid off by Colgate Palmolive.
Mr. Mayor, are you amazed at where we're at as a country? Meaning that Donald Trump is MAGA, Robert Kennedy, Tulsi. You have all these Democrats
eclectic
that were old school Democrats, really. Right?
Yeah, I'm Tulsi. I don't know as well.
Right.
Robert Kennedy, I'm willing to tell you, is a positive force. He may overdo it sometimes, but in order to reverse craziness, you sometimes have to overdo it.
I got no problem with that.
Right.
And I everything he raises, I don't know if I agree with it, but it's a question that should be raised.
Yes. I agree.
Is fluoride dangerous?
Right.
I don't know. I'd like you to stop stopping us from finding out.
Right.
Do vaccines help to create autism?
Right.
I don't know, but I know I had 5 vaccines. They wanted to give my granddaughter 45
Holy moly.
until she was 2. My son and his daughter, who are who are better on this than I am, he refused to take a vaccine. He ran for governor of New York, and they put him in a cage because he wouldn't have a vaccine. It turns out he was right and they were all wrong. He should have been the governor. And by the way, if he was the governor, New York State wouldn't have a budget of $258 billion, which is 2.5 times the size of Florida, which means we're stealing all the money.
Wow.
I mean, Florida is 4 million more people than New York. You have a budget of 130.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
You got a budget of 130 billion. We have a budget of 250 billion. What do you think we're doing with the extra money? We're stealing it.
Just stealing.
100%.
But my son, when he wouldn't take a vaccine, they put him in a cage.
Yeah.
And the other candidates who I love, they're nice guys like Zeldin and went ahead with the debate. If I were part of that debate, I wouldn't have done it.
No.
If they had taken, I ran for president against John McCain and Huckabee.
I remember.
Huckabee is one of my best friends.
Yeah.
McCain was one of my best friends, despite all the problems with Trump, which I can tell you about if you want.
Can't wait.
But if they put McCain in a cage, I wouldn't have shown up for a debate.
Right.
Yeah.
You're going to put my fellow Republican in a cage? Screw you. All those guys showed up for a debate. I don't know.
That takes courage.
I don't know, including Zeldin. I know he's in the administration, and I like Zeldin, but Quinones, I don't know if he's got him.
Yeah. Well, RFK's shaking it up, and I'm happy about that.
RFK's got Quinones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's willing to do the job. And like you said, I don't necessarily know.
I don't agree with him completely.
Right.
But these are I don't even know the answers. I just know they're questions that have to
I
be
just
raised.
appreciate that he's asking the
And
questions.
corruption
100%.
is stopping us from raising them.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you.
So, and if you're so afraid of raising them, then I have a suspicion.
Well, during COVID, they conditioned Americans to stop asking questions. We got to get back to asking
That was
questions.
so sad.
We have to be able to
Critical
challenge authority.
thinking is a good thing.
Yeah, it's
right?
good to challenge
was so
authority.
sad.
It's good to ask questions. It's good to have conversations.
Well, we all got kicked off YouTube for any
For
song
having
about.
Did you get
conversations.
thrown off YouTube?
Yeah, all of us did. Yeah.
Singing song? Oh yeah, I had a song about I was making songs
100%.
about.
I got
COVID.
thrown off of YouTube. I was at about 1.8 million and they threw me off.
Oh,
They threw me off. I don't remember. I can't
still
even
haven't
remember
recovered
now
on
if it
YouTube.
was over the stolen election or the vaccine. It was one of the.
They got me for both.
No, I think they
Yeah,
got
me
me.
too.
I think they threw me off
They got
first
you for both, Mayor.
over
I
the
met with
stolen
them.
election. They put me back on, and then I said, you don't necessarily. You should make your own decision about the vaccine.
Mr. Mayor, I did a song. I did the Battle Hymn of Republic, and YouTube kicked me off and said it was a song of hatred and violence.
it's a true story.
I had the most
I can't
beautiful
laugh at that.
patriotic
So
video.
were they at the time controlled by communists?
Yes.
Yeah.
China.
Hey, American hating communists paid by China.
Yep.
Because I don't think we have, even now, even you and I who are, into it, I don't think we have a complete appreciation of how much China has infiltrated us.
No, it's
We're gonna be surprised that it comes out of here and here and here.
Yeah.
Because it's hard and I'm gonna tell you, this is a person who had a pretty good idea because I handled the first FISA court, how much Russia infiltrated us.
Right.
And this is nothing compared to what Russia did.
Well, China.
Russia was a amateur compared to China.
Well, because China did it at every level, not just politically or culturally. They're financing almost all this stuff.
Yeah.
At some level.
I'd
right?
almost be willing to believe that China convinced Nixon and Kissinger to make peace with them rather than Russia in order to do what they wanted to do, which is to have Marxism take over the world. I mean, I can't be sure of that. But if you told me that as a conspiracy theory, I don't reject any.
You wouldn't be surprised.
I don't reject any
It makes more
conspiracy
sense
theories
now,
now.
more than ever.
I used to reject all of them. No, I don't reject
You gotta
any.
have the conversation
But
now.
I do think that 10 years out from Nixon and Kissinger, we should have recognized we've been double crossed.
Yeah.
And from then on, these people were really hurting us.
They play the long game. They've been
From
playing
Bush-
it for years.
Very patient.
From Bush through
Clinton.
until you get to Trump, nobody recognized the danger of China.
Well,
and
you
they
could
sold
see
us.
back
And
in the
they
80s. He was on Larry King calling
Yeah.
out China.
they effectively double crossed us. And now they're into everything. They're into education. They're into our government. They're into our industry. They're into our major hedge funds.
All the real estate in
Well,
Orange County and Southern California.
I'm a
they just
Northern
come-
California guy. The audacity of them to come out yesterday and pretend they were surprised that China had infiltrated Stanford University. Since I was a kid in the 90s, okay, when I was like a high school student in the 90s, we all knew Chinese government officials had infiltrated Stanford. It was
As
like,
they did Harvard.
It was like a common knowledge thing. And
Yeah.
then we're in 2025 and they go, wait a minute, we think that Stanford might be infiltrated by the Chinese.
Right.
It's like, are you kidding me?
With Dianne Feinstein,
Yeah, I'm
with
like, are you
China,
kidding me?
all the
This is
deals.
like-
Feinstein had the 19-year driver
Yes.
who would
Right.
pick her up every time that big
100%.
mouth walked out of an intelligence briefing. I know Dianne Feinstein. She's a yenta. She would. She's dead now. She
I
would. What happened in the meeting, Diane?
She was one of the beginning of our bullet train scam. in
That was
California.
19 years of that guy getting our secrets. And what about Fang Fang
Yeah.
with
There's
the
Fang
pervert?
Fang.
Swalwell.
With the
Eric
pervert.
Swalwell.
Every time you appear
Yeah, he
before him, I mean, yesterday he was abusing somebody. I don't remember who. My advice would have been, have you heard from Fang Fang recently?
That's every reply.
What is Fang Fang?
response.
What's Fang Fang saying, Swalwell?
He's not very.
Exactly. Now, tell me the truth. Can we put you under oath? Were you screwing her?
She's like,
What do you want to say about that? I mean, isn't it worth America knowing? I mean, this woman was a spy for the Chinese communists, our biggest enemies. If you were screwing her, we should know that.
Right.
I don't want to be
Eric.
offensive, but we should know it. Were you able? I mean, given your personality, it doesn't look like you'd be able to resist. That's just my opinion.
It's like, oh, Eric, tell me more about this new government program. Oh, yeah, that gets me really going.
Yeah. How much did you give away to Fang Fang, sweetheart? As much as Hunter Biden did, or less?
He's like, no. I mean,
Were you like Hunter Biden going past for 1 year all the secret Chinese documents and like not taking them?
Right.
You think I believe that? You must think I'm as stupid as you are. I don't know why these congressmen, they should have me teach them how to cross-examine. I used to teach cross-examination.
That's probably since
These guys are terrible.
they're not very bright.
no.
I've noticed.
No,
this.
look
There's
at
a theme of-
Comer. Comer had him by the, and he blew the whole thing. I mean,
Yeah.
he's a silly, I don't know what he is, a silly.
Well, he wrote a book.
The book
He's
is
got these
useless.
members of Congress that
The
keep
book
writing
is
books
how
while
I
they're in
didn't
office.
catch Trump. How I
Yeah,
didn't
how I
catch-
didn't catch the
how I
Biden.
didn't catch Biden.
That should be the title.
Even though the evidence was
You know
right
what?
there
You know-
in front of me, and any half-wit moron would have caught him.
Yeah.
That
Congress
was the
is too
butcher.
busy trying to be celebrities. That's what
Right.
it seems
How-
like.
100%.
They're
Brendan's got it
desperate
nailed.
for attention.
It's too much narcissism.
They're
None of them are.
weird little people. I've met them. They're the least
Yeah.
impressive
Co-
people in the last 5 years I've met doing all the campaign stuff.
Right.
Congressman, I don't
Yeah,
even
you're right.
bother putting my hand out. I'm like, I know who you are. You've voted the wrong way repeatedly.
Right.
Yet you're gonna walk in front of this crowd and you're gonna say
Even
like,
the
really pretty
even the
things.
good ones cave in on
And
you.
they still
Right.
cave. And they still
Yeah,
don't
even the
deliver.
ones that we and we
And
won't name them.
objectively as a
but Comer-
businessman,
I
they're
won't-
just not very bright.
But Comer was like, how can I cave in? Jeez, I don't want to read. I don't want to look at the real evidence.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't
How can
understand it.
I don't get it, Mayor. Like, you know,
Maybe his staff. I'm not sure these people actually read.
No.
they don't.
So
Well,
somebody
first of all,
wrote
they
the
don't.
book for him, probably AI.
Right.
But his staff probably did all the work.
Just like
for him.
with the legislation. They don't read this legislation. They're
Yeah.
the staff
Well, that's
gives
what
them
didn't Pelosi
recommendations.
say that? Pelosi was actually quite honest
Quite
when she
open
said,
about
well,
it.
we're not going to read this until it passes.
Damn, you're gonna vote how I tell you, though.
How do you
And the
vote on
Democrat
it if you
and
don't
the
read
members
it
do?
before it passes?
You know what? To her credit, though, like that's an old school villain, though.
Right.
Like, Pelosi, for
No,
whatever
she's
you
an
say,
old mafia villain.
But she held that conference
she
together.
actually had talent. Like
Yeah.
for all
Oh,
her works,
man.
that's a
Yes.
talented villain.
Of
no,
course.
you want her on your side.
Yes.
Well,
if you're
yeah,
in a battle, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
But you always
Yeah.
want a mafia
She-
daughter
she-
on your side.
she
Well,
can
it
get
managing your money too.
Nancy D'Alessandro.
Right.
That's her name. Her father was the mayor of Baltimore.
yeah.
Her uncle,
And her
whoa,
brother.
man, were they connected.
Well, Well, she used some. Oh, she learned a thing or two with that Democrat conference. They
No,
never got out of line with her in charge.
We're not demeaning her capabilities.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying.
We're demeaning her honesty and decency. We're not demeaning her capabilities.
As a person.
Yeah.
But the talent is undeniable.
But that don't
Yeah,
politics.
of course.
There's nobody like that now.
No, that's a talented, shrewd
There's
individual.
She's sort of
That's a
like
good point.
Trump in a different way, in an evil way. We knocked her out in 2010. I spent all my time in the summer and fall of 2010 going around the country. Must have made 50 appearances for United States Congress candidates. And every one of them I was running against. I was supporting that candidate, but I was taking the campaign and focusing it on, I was telling them locally, you're voting for Nancy Pelosi or not. And I would say, if you vote for the Democrat, you can have Nancy Pelosi on every Sunday morning. And you're going to have to take your kids and hide them because she'll scare them. Because she doesn't have a single original body part on her entire face. That was just a joke. And
It's funny as hell.
so Sean Duffy, who is probably the most famous one I campaigned for, got elected that way in...
That's up my neck of the woods.
No, Sean got elected that way.
Northern Wisconsin.
Yeah, in northern Wisconsin with his beautiful wife, who's now on. And he had about 45 kids then. He has 80 now.
Season 2
He's got a large family.
And
in San Francisco.
but there were a whole bunch of them that got elected, and we kicked her out of Congress. I thought she was finished.
You underestimated the will.
Man, she came back. Oh boy,
With a vengeance.
With a vengeance.
Wow.
Brought a bunch of weirdos with her too.
Wow.
The squad and everybody else. You're like, what in the world?
And the squad, she always
Do you think
played.
she actually respects the members of the squad?
No, but she plays them.
Yeah.
But she knows how to play them.
Yeah.
Right.
And now actually,
doesn't.
now that they're missing her, they're making mistakes. They're going too far left. She knew how to bring them in a little.
Right.
I mean,
She played the game for a
so
long time.
so you have to say, sue me. She and her husband are probably the most dishonest people in American politics. Maybe the Clintons.
Right.
However, she's one of the shrewdest.
Yeah, him to do.
Hakeem Jeffries is
And
no
if you
Nancy
could make her
Pelosi.
honest and put her on your side, you'd want it. Wow.
Well, this is what I was saying. Like, they don't even have right now. They have all the radical ideas and the villain characters without any of the talent.
Yeah, right.
The previous
That's a good way to put
generation
it.
had the talent. Hillary Clinton's a talented, scary.
Yeah.
individual.
Schumer's not.
Right.
Schumer's a schmuck,
He's a schmuck.
as Al D'Amato said when he got ruled out of the election. Al D'Amato lost the election in 1998 against him when he called him, I don't know if he called him a schmuck or a punk but he was.
Right.
Everybody knew that Schumer was a jackass. Every time he came, you want to keep him away. He never had a sensible thing to say. He was always pandering, but he pandered so much he's worth $100 million. You tell me how he becomes $100 million guy.
But he's a moron.
He's been in Congress. He's been in office his whole life.
These are not very bright people. That's what I'm saying. There's so many of these people that are worth ungodly amounts.
And now
of
he
money.
sells out the Jewish people.
Right, and they're morons.
If you're Jewish and you don't have a healthy hatred for Schumer, there's something wrong with you. I don't mean you should do anything to him. You should just tell your family, if you're Jewish, don't become like Schumer. Because if we take it to a Christian context, he's like Judas.
Yeah.
He sold out the Israeli people when he said they should not reelect Netanyahu. If they didn't reelect Netanyahu, we would still have Hamas, we would still have Hezbollah, we would still have Assad, and Iran would be in a great position. And President Trump actually should give him the Medal of Freedom, because he did our work for us while our traitor Biden was the president.
Right.
And he put us in a position where we can knock Iran right over. And Bibi did that. So somebody should treat him with a little more
I'm
respect.
real happy Huckabee's over there. Have you
Yeah,
spoken with him?
Huckabee knows.
I'm so happy he's the ambassador.
Huckabee knows exactly what I'm saying.
Right.
I don't doubt that there isn't a single thing I just said that Huckabee doesn't agree with.
Yeah, I think that's a great.
I ran against Huckabee and he became a very good friend.
I remember.
Can you imagine running against somebody? And so did McCain. The only thing I ever, the whole thing with Trump and McCain, I always understood. I love both of them. The one thing that leaves me funny, and there's no way to resolve this until I die. I do not understand why McCain got his daughter to give a eulogy attacking Trump. I thought that was a desecration of his funeral.
Yeah. I can't speak.
And I love John. I love John, but I think there was something that went over the top there.
What was your line about McCain? Yeah.
As an Arizonan, I have nothing kind to say.
Okay,
So
a lot of people feel that way.
especially because if you are familiar, it depends on the depth of your Arizona's political knowledge. And once you understand how Arizona's run, it's really hard to like anybody who's elected there.
Yeah.
Very difficult.
So I found Arizona. I don't know. Don't get upset, Ted. Maybe other than Michigan, to be the most crooked state.
Hands down.
Yeah.
Could be Arizona more than Michigan. And people wouldn't think that. Georgia was really bad.
Arizona's the worst.
Pennsylvania is really bad.
Illinois is bad in
And
general.
we
I
just,
didn't
we
deal
just
with
assume
Illinois.
California.
I didn't deal with Illinois.
I would just say,
I would say that it's between. No, it's Arizona. Arizona. You know why? Arizona is sneaky corrupt.
Arizona.
Everybody knows Michigan's corrupt because of Detroit.
Yeah.
You know it. Detroit, okay. Everybody
Right.
knows Detroit
Well,
steals.
we knew it up until 2020. But
Everybody knows
We accepted it up until-
Philadelphia
yeah. Right.
steals.
Right.
Everybody knows Fulton County is complete crap. But people think Arizona is like pristine.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Man, oh man,
It's corrupt.
Maricopa County, which makes up half the damn
Nothing
state.
in Arizona. Nobody gets elected in Arizona or gets done in Arizona without a sanction from the cartel. That's the reality of Arizona politics. That's Arizona's businesses out there. Well, I used to be in real estate development, commercial. All of the loans and the infrastructure for Tempe when it was expanding was all financed
So I'm
by
gonna-
La Raza.
I'm going to take you back, way back. I'm going to take you back to 1985. I went to Arizona, to Tucson, to take the deposition of Joe Bonanno, who was the head of one of the original crime families at St. Mary's Hospital. And I literally thought I was going to be assassinated. And then I went back and got him held in contempt. And when I did, it was very hard for me to get out of Arizona without getting killed. They had turned over Tucson to Joe. Joe built St. Mary's Hospital. Joe was one of the original members of the commission. He established one of the original organized crime families. Then he retired, left it to his son, went to Arizona, and he funded a Catholic hospital that sold out to him. When I would go in there to interview him, and it's a very complicated story, they would boo me. Here I am, the U.S. attorney. I'm not even Rudy Giuliani. I'm just a U.S. attorney, some poor kid from New York who's trying to do his job. And all the nuns would boo me in favor of the organized crime guy who probably killed 50 people.
That's unbelievable.
But he bought the hospital. Wow. And
wow.
There's a whole big thing that happened in Arizona there with DeConcini, and I always thought DeConcini was part of that. I have to say, he actually held up my nomination as Associate Attorney General, DeConcini.
Really?
And I kind of thought as a fellow, I understood, I knew what the hell he was doing, that guy, as a fellow Italian American. He knew that I was going to go after the mafia like big time. And he owed a lot to Joe. He owed a lot to Joe. Joe paid off all of southern Arizona, owned it. It was when we went back later to take his deposition in court, and we had to have like significant security because there's all kinds of threats they'd kill us.
It's the Wild West out there.
And the local courts in Arizona were in his favor. You know what I did? I brought my own federal judge. I didn't trust any of the judges in Arizona.
Wow.
So there's a terrible problem that we have to examine, and I've got to do it very carefully because it deserves. There's something really wrong with our judiciary. I mean, really substantially wrong. And if we don't fix it in the next 2 to 3 years, we're never going to fix it. And we will. And even if we straighten out the Congress and the presidency and the fourth branches of government, that's going to weigh on us tremendously if we don't fix the corruption in the federal judiciary.
100%.
And we got to find out a way to do that without frightening people that we're trying to take apart the independent judiciary. But it really is corrupt. There are more than just a few corrupt judges. They're not all corrupt by any means, but it's more than a few. So it's getting to be.
It's enough that we need something.
Yeah, maybe it's
a
not
hand.
systemic, but if we stop and not do anything, it'll be systemic.
be.
I mean, I see these decisions.
They're
I don't even understand them.
No.
They're like out of control completely.
Well, it's very obvious that this is completely just a radicalization of the judiciary and people who are essentially doing their politics from the
Yeah,
bench.
and their political judgment
Right.
outweighs any legal impediment to doing what they're going to do.
It seems like too, it seems like in law enforcement, there used to be so much pride centered around the oaths you would take, the documents you would be representing, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights.
Yeah.
And culturally, this is what we kind of were talking about earlier. It seems like that culture of that reverence for these documents and what they truly mean and what you represent when you're in these positions has been lost with a lot of these people who have been appointed into these positions.
So I'll give you an example. So this whole thing with birthright citizenship, right? I think birthright citizenship is stupid. I think it's stupid. I mean, if somebody comes in just because they were born here, they become an American citizen. Well, a bunch of people can take advantage of this that way.
They do this.
I do not believe that that's what the people who passed the 14th Amendment did. I think they very quickly passed an amendment to make sure that the slaves were not disadvantaged by not being citizens. And they didn't pay attention to the rest of the language. But when I read the rest of the language, it's very broad. And it makes a pretty good argument for birthright citizenship. Now, as a conservative, I would very much like to say no.
Right.
No, just cast it out. But as a lawyer, I have to tell you, if we cast that out, we cast out a lot of our original interpretation thinking. Like we have to be honest to the words that are there. I don't think this is an easy decision. But it's a tough one. And you've got to deal with the words that are there, which is if you're born in the United States, you're a citizen. If you're within the jurisdiction of the United States, so that within the jurisdiction of the United States, what do they mean by that?
Right.
Want the honest answer? We don't know. They never said what they meant by it.
Wasn't clarified.
For 100 plus years, we've interpreted it as everybody. It's hard to do away with that interpretation after 100 and that many years. At the same time, if I were on the court, I'd probably vote that you should limit it. So this can get really complicated, but the first case to interpret it in the Supreme Court was in the 19th century. And it was a Japanese kid who was born to two Japanese citizens. Here's the difference. The two Japanese citizens were here legally. The ones that they're asking for now were here illegally. I think it is perfectly reasonable to come to the conclusion that within the jurisdiction of the United States does not mean illegal people. It meant those legal Japanese, but it did mean if those two Japanese came in surreptitiously, illegally, that their kids become citizens. I think that's a perfectly reasonable interpretation. I think it's also reasonable to say, well, it doesn't really say that. And we have interpreted it the other way, so we're going to leave it that way. I just have to say that as a lawyer, even though I would very much like to have it come out the other way. They can't do that. What I just did, they don't have the discipline to do. And I know this from having gone to law school with a bunch of these liberal effing jerks. They don't, their emotions take over. And I can hear it. I can watch it. I can see that all their ability of reasoning as a lawyer is lost in the emotion of who knows what, usually Marxism.
Well, Mr. Mayor, that was a beautiful point, and it makes you think, and that's what I'm talking about, the critical thinking that we don't have anymore.
We don't do it anymore.
Because everybody goes tribal,
These assholes
right? It's
don't
like,
critically
I'm
think
of
at all.
this, I'm of that, and everybody's like this, but that's a great argument and a great thoughtful.
But these people
so
don't
I appreciate that, but it makes me think,
But these people don't think anymore.
No, that's the problem.
And, if we think, it's not always going to come out our way. But I'll tell you the truth, it most often is. Because we're right. We're
That-
right about decency, and we're right about honesty,
Yeah.
and we're right about government should be for honest people, not crooks. And we shouldn't be inviting in people who are going to rape us. And we certainly shouldn't go back if we throw somebody out who raped us and bring them back.
Right.
What the hell is that all about?
Oh,
But-
they
Right.
had some great memes about
Oh,
that.
about those guys? I mean, those guys are monsters.
Oh my gosh.
Which
That's
ones are we
right.
talking about?
The what MS-13?
Oh, yeah.
MS-13.
Yeah.
I actually
Oh.
branded them MS-13.
Oh, yes, that was
I didn't
genius.
brand-
That was you,
launched,
yeah.
I launched it.
No,
That's
Sent
they're
it over to my friends over at the White House. I said, "Hey, might want to run with this branding." They were like, "Oh my goodness."
Oh,
That
we
is
I
awesome.
did too, and we showed a bunch of them.
So one of our memers created the CNN sign, but it says CNN Sinaloa for Sinaloa because they had the Sinaloa cartel member. They interviewed him.
Yeah.
It was brilliant, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we had a field day with that. Mike is actually the one who likes to use the AI to put tattooed MS-13.
Yeah, you
logos on
can't tell
Sugar's face.
you can't tell he's
Oh,
MS-13.
it was genius. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
You can't tell he's MS-13. He beats the shit out of his wife.
Right.
Well, just like you made the thoughtful point on the both sides of the birthright citizenship, that's what we do. We look at what's happening and we analyze it, and then we make fun of it. So I mean, that's
do you have that video?
it's
But you
also
do it really
educational.
quick,
looking for
right?
the CNN one.
We move
I was
fast.
gonna say the Ramones.
Like within the time,
The one that we
within
did
the
for
within the
MS-13 Democrats.
time frame,
Mike
like that
did it.
day.
Yes, sir. No, that's
hard.
oh, that's what we do. Yeah.
Do you ever make mistakes?
Wow.
What are we talking politically?
No. If you move that fast, do you ever make mistakes?
We haven't hammered anybody that didn't have it coming.
Good.
Right.
I can
Good.
tell you that. Actually, I can tell you that with
Or-
confidence.
Now, how do you do that? Do you step back and
Anytime
kind of
that-
wait and take a little look?
They funnel it through me. Usually, if there's ever a question, they come to me and go.
The only good thing
this
is there's
person on the fringe. Can we tap that? You know, I'll say maybe not, maybe yes. It just depends because
Yeah.
sometimes we want to be a little patient, but
if you're careful, you're going to come out okay. There's so many jerks out there.
our discernment when it comes to the good guys and the bad guys has been scary accurate. Scary accurate.
I think that's right.
We nail people before they've even got a chance to be exposed, and I can sniff it, and it's I have a background in that stuff, so I was like, it was how we took down Ron. I could I did a full assessment. Did it with Joni Ernst before Pete Hegg says confirmation.
That's right.
They put the bat signal up and said Pete's gonna have a problem, and we went to work and we
Yeah, so there's,
we took 5 points off of Joni in 3 days.
but I tell you, they're
That's right.
still
Yeah,
going
yeah,
after
you
Pete.
make real difference.
Pete is their number one.
Oh yeah, yes,
Pete is their number one target. Do you agree?
100%.
Of course, if they get rid of him, there'll be another number one target. So
Yes, but right now it is
and I think the president,
Big time.
no matter what, has to stick with him.
absolutely
Otherwise, they'll feel they have blood in the water.
Right.
correct.
If they get him out, it'll just show them.
You can't give any.
It'll
scalps.
show their roadmap on how to get others.
No scalps.
Right.
That is a
Right.
And I think every single thing they've raised on Pete is complete
Oh, yeah.
garbage.
You have
Well,
that.
And the president
No.
learned, I think, from the first term and from the first campaign, the first couple of campaigns. Trump 2024, nobody got fired. Now you might have got internally demoted or moved around within the campaign, but the Democrats and the left never got any scalps from that campaign. No scalps. People would get removed around quietly,
Yeah, they shouldn't.
but no public scalps.
It all should happen internally.
Correct.
If he or his secretaries don't think the person is carrying our message, and
Right.
well, he's entitled to have people who carries out what he promised,
Right. Agreed.
and he's entitled to fire anybody who isn't. Otherwise, we can't judge him fairly.
I think that Susie.
That's what
Wiles-
being elected president means.
I think Susie Wiles has done a phenomenal job of helping to just run a tighter ship that way, just from a
To keeping the people who are
problematic,
loyal to him.
loyal or versus problematic.
First time around, he went through a couple of periods with people that were completely. When I was his lawyer, I was afraid to go in the White House. Jay and I arranged that we would see him before or after work in his private chambers. They were leaking on us like crazy.
Right,
Not only leaking, lying,
right.
completely lying,
Misrepresenting what you're
making
talking
up,
about.
making up all kinds of crap. That he was throwing things at people. He was having
Oh,
First of all,
yeah.
Trump doesn't lose his temper.
No.
Trump gets angry, and you know when he's angry. But I lose my temper. When I'm angry, you'll know it. In fact, you'll be scared out of your mind if I'm angry. When he gets angry, you don't know it. Maybe he's over, maybe once or twice. But generally, he's not a guy who loses his temper.
Measured.
He'll get maybe sarcastic
Right.
but they would constantly make him like he was a crazy maniac he never threw anything at anybody ever. One time they did a whole description of how he threw papers at a woman.
Absurd.
Number one, he didn't do it. Number two, the woman wasn't even there. They just made it up.
Right.
But you know who made it up? Not the press. Some creep sitting outside.
Right. Was it a staffer?
Probably somebody that came from the DNC, from Rance Priebus. That Rance Priebus selected, who hated Trump and loved Jeb Bush, or hated Trump and loved, I don't know, Paul Ryan or Ted Cruz or whoever they loved.
Well, here's another recent video from the Dilly meme team. This one.
We use the Ramones because we love New Yorkers. But, this we did where you talk about speed when they stormed the
ICE
detention
facility.
center. We had this
The other day.
Oh, come on.
These are the Democrats.
Yeah, we got this
within
done
an
that
hour,
day.
and it blew up.
Protesters, including two
Yeah,
members
it's
of
like
Congress, broke into the ICE detention facility.
Whoa!
How come they don't
Let
do
them go! Whoa! Whoa! Let them go! Whoa! Whoa! Let them go! Whoa! Whoa! Let them go! Stolen our facilities, attacking our democracy, defending MS-13, insurrection bomb.
I've seen it. This is great.
They want the right to set free. Democrat anarchy, ultimate hypocrisy, insurrection bomb. Hey, ho, let them go. We want our voters back now. Criminals out, running free. The Democrat Party at the MS-13, attacking our democracy. No one's above the law. They had no self-awareness. Insurrection bomb. Hey, ho, let them go. Hey, ho, let them go. Hey, ho, let them go. Hey, ho, let them go.
What'd you say?
Oh, beautiful. Love that.
Oh, it's just good.
But yeah, we put that
I've
together for
often-
like a couple hours.
I've often wanted to do a Saturday Night Live. I was on it like 9 times or 12 times. I don't remember. And Warren Michael used to be a good friend, really good friend. He used to sit in front of me at Yankee games. And I'd like to do like a Saturday night, a conservative Saturday Night Live every Saturday night in opposition to them, in which we do things like we have somebody play a Democratic whatever and say, you know, it really isn't fair. He spent a lot of time trying to get into the United States. He went right through the Darien Pass, could have been eaten by alligators. He got here. He only did 2 rapes. Is that fair? And then Trump threw him out. We should let him, the guy should at least have 4 or 5 rapes before we send him back. Just do it seriously. And say Chuck Schumer. Right? But that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
They want these people to come back and attack us again. These are horrible criminals, but it doesn't bother them. You know how many predatory criminals are in New York right now that would be in jail if I were the mayor or even Bloomberg? About 8,000. Wow. About 8,000. How about this? Since Cuomo passed the change in parole, there are 43 cop killers since 2019 that are now walking the streets of the city who were sentenced to life in prison for killing a police officer. The first one now is coming up that gets close to my mayoralty, and his brother was a very close friend of mine. I went to his wake. I knew his father. His father was one of the chairmen of my campaign committee, and they assassinated this kid, and they want to let the guy out. This would be number 44 a cop killer let out. When we sold the people in New York on the con job, that if you don't execute them, we'll put them in jail forever, and that's worse than execution. Which doesn't explain why everybody that's executed spends $50 million to try to stop being executed. If being in jail forever is worse than being executed, why the hell are they trying so hard to stop being executed?
Right.
Okay, there are a couple of guys who want to be executed. Thank you. You save us a lot of money. I'll execute you right away.
Right.
You want to be executed? and you write out, I want to be executed because it's much worse to be in jail for the rest of my life, I'll execute you immediately. You can pick how you want. I'll electrocute you. I'll shoot you. I'll hang you. I'll cut your throat. However, that's like about 2%. Everybody else fights like crazy. There's people on death row for 20 years. If execution were desirable for these guys, why wouldn't they just go get executed instead of fight for 20 years? It's totally crazy. The best way to deter crime is when it's serious, inhumane, horrible crime, kill them, and they will stop. That's how we stop kidnapping.
This is basic.
Don't buy any of this crap that the death penalty doesn't deter. I'm going to tell you what it deters. It deters that guy who did the killing from doing it again. And since the liberals let him out, sometimes they do it again. And believe me, it affects enough people at the last minute that they don't pull the trigger. I'll give you an example. I did a whole bunch of bank robbery cases when I was a young assistant U.S. attorney, before they had cameras in the banks. Now there are no more bank robbery cases because the criminals are smart enough to know we don't commit crimes on camera. But I had, we had hundreds of bank robbery cases. Guys would come in to the bank, hold up the bank, and they wouldn't have bullets in the gun because they were, if they got caught for bank robbery, they would go for 15 years. But if they had bullets in the gun, they could get executed. That's deterrence. That's you say, well, you can't affect murderers. Right. Bullshit. Operation of the mind. They don't want to get killed. I'm telling you, they don't want to get killed. They are not Islamic terrorists. They do not believe they have 72 virgins waiting for them. They actually probably believe they got hell waiting for them. So they don't want to get killed. Oh, by the way, for any of those people who think there are 72 virgins, as I point out every night, they're used up by now. The Israelis have killed so many Islamic jihadists that they can't possibly statistically, mathematically be 72 virgins. And the dregs to the left are not worth it. So, Muhammad, go screw yourself.
Well, we have some breaking news tonight. Speaking of Trump derangement syndrome, the Secret Service is now probing ex-FBI chief James Comey for allegedly threatening President Trump in a since-deleted Instagram post. This just hours old.
What did he threaten him with?
We're
you mean James Cardinal Comey?
Look at what he wrote.
So what we have on the screen here,
James Cardinal Comey?
What he had up there.
Watch, we can see this.
Screen there.
8647.
So this is what, and we'll get up closer. That is what James Comey posted to his Instagram post this afternoon. Afternoon.
A couple hours ago.
He then deleted it. Well, this is on his Instagram post with the caption. We don't have the caption there.
They said he didn't know what it meant.
Basically, what he said was, cool shell formation found on my beach walk. And its numbers 86 followed by 47. Of course, 86 is a term originally, they believe originated in New York in reference to an address and with the number 86 on the door. And it had to do with getting kicked out. However, it is over time become synonymous and used when referring to murdering somebody. So 8-6 is in reference to killing somebody. That person has been 8-6'd. So that's what the 8-6 means. The 47, of course, and people are very concerned tonight, is very clear, could be interpreted, interpreted
they tried twice.
as President Trump.
Yeah.
So
they tried twice.
So
there's no question. Please don't have any illusions that they didn't try to kill him twice. That was not accidental. What are you, crazy and stupid?
Well, look, here's his explanation.
And so this is what James Comey, after having it up for a few hours, he deletes it and quote, this is his
Why did he
response.
think it was a political message on the beach? What is he, some kind of mystic?
I posted earlier a picture.
I have to confess to you guys, most people know this. I hired James Comey as an assistant U.S. attorney. He worked for me for 3 years. He was a reasonably good assistant U.S. attorney. I began to become very, very worried about him when he was U.S. attorney and he prosecuted Martha Stewart. Not because I like Martha Stewart. I don't even know her. But I thought it was a publicity prosecution. I thought she was guilty, but I would deal with first offender insider traders by making them pay a fine. And that's what happened with most of them. But she had a big name, and he wanted a big name. And I thought that was a very inappropriate prosecution.
Yeah, I always thought that too. I didn't know that.
Because I'm a hell of a lot more ethical prosecutor than they've had there in a long time. And I understand the principles of prosecution a lot better than the assholes do now. And you don't prosecute people. Nobody's above the law, but nobody's below the law. You don't prosecute a celebrity because they're a celebrity. And you don't not prosecute a celebrity because they're a celebrity. But he prosecuted her because James Cardinal Comey wanted attention. That's the first thing that got me. Then when he refused to execute the order to kill a terrorist and he had to go to Ashcroft and get him out of bed to do it, I said, what a pussy. And do you know the guy who was working for him is the guy who became the head of the FBI. I wish I had known that. And Christie put him in. And that guy turned out to be a traitor to the United States. Comey has lied so much. The fact that he isn't in jail is a disgrace.
Well, now he's making threats.
It's a disgrace. Now, what does that mean at the beginning of what he says? If I looked at, I'm going to tell you the truth. If I looked at A647, I don't know if I would understand what the hell it meant. I would not think it was a political threat.
Right. Well,
what made him think it was a political threat? I posted earlier pictures of themselves I saw today on a beach, which I assume were a political message. Why would he assume that?
Well, that's what tells you he knows what it means, right?
I didn't realize some folks associate those numbers with violence. Well, what did he associate it with?
To 86, somebody is to get rid of him.
He's a lawyer.
Okay, Comey, let's go under oath now, you lying son of a bitch. What political message did you think it was?
What other political message would that mean?
Exactly. The fact that he says,
except for a few clued in Americans.
He's the head of the FBI.
8647 is a political message.
No, you're right. And if you did,
95% of America would not think
kill. FBI.
Yeah,
he's not misinterpreting.
Yeah, 8647 is used by criminals, by members.
But you know how many people know that?
FBI agents know that.
Yeah, maybe 2% of the people know.
Sure, including the director, the former director of the FBI. 5%, not many.
What do you think? How many people know what 86?
Like 5%.
If you said 86 somebody, or dude, they use this. Okay,
I don't even. If you said
it to me, it's a low percentage.
I'm going to tell you.
You just explained it to me.
I will tell you right now why. I would say 90% of Americans know what 86 means. You want to know why? It is completely common vernacular when you work in restaurants. You say 86 the mustard, 86 the mayo. It's completely normal.
What does that mean?
It's to remove. 86 is to remove.
And when you fire someone, we often say, "Oh, let's 86."
Really, I have to honestly tell you, I've never heard that before.
Yeah,
out of context, though, you were on the beach.
8647 is to remove or to get rid of
President Trump.
Right.
Yeah, and that's very.
I
clear.
would say he should be shrewd enough to know 47. I would have picked up on.
Yeah,
sure.
Well, because it's so much associated with Trump.
But it's not like he posts shells pictures every day.
No, but
it's not like, hey, today's shell picture.
So here's what he has to explain, which he'll never be asked to explain, because he's Cardinal Comey, and he's up, there.
Hopefully now
we don't touch him. Why did he think it was a political message? Right. So
because it was
innocent, naive me would have looked at 8647. Yeah. I wouldn't have thought it was a political message.
Like an address or someone just wanted to remember 40.
I don't know what the hell I would thought it was. I wouldn't even pay attention to it.
He's almost implicating himself.
So now if it's a political message.
He did the shells. He's the one who put them there.
The mayor, you're right.
So if it is a political message, 47 is clearly the president.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, you can't get away from that.
No. Right. And 86.
And you're telling me that 86 is much more commonly thought of as remove somebody.
Yes,
get rid of somebody.
Especially under President Trump, the left. And
so you
he's
can use
giving it away. Because if you think it's a political message, as he said, it's only one political message
so
that
you can use it as a verb.
Right.
Right. 86 him.
I'm going to 86
But he deleted it.
And he's also trying to get you to believe that he happened upon the shells that way. Give me a friggin' break.
Oh, I see what you're saying. He may have. Somebody else may have done it.
When did this show up today?
This afternoon.
He knew what it meant because he was the one who did it.
Oh, okay. That's even a step further.
We live near the beach. If you and all of us are walking along the beach, we're not taking pictures of other people's shell creations. That's not what you do.
Let's take a look at it again.
No, unless, like you said,
let's take a look at it again and pretend we're walking on the beach. I wouldn't have even noticed. I would have stepped on it.
That's what I'm saying.
You're right.
He did it. That's why he knew what it meant.
Right.
And that's why he said, well, I happened upon a political message. Give me
So
a
why
break.
Well,
would he-
that's what gives it away, man.
Okay.
Yes, it
Let's
is.
take him at his word. Why would he stop and take a picture of it?
Right.
Exactly.
And then posted all of his followers.
But why would he take a picture of it?
Right.
And
Right.
and if he put it out as a political message,
He's a doofus.
No,
Yes,
he's
he's
a
what
snarky.
is the political message?
There's only one.
He hasn't explained it yet.
No, you're absolutely right.
What
But
is
you're-
he going to come up with?
He's giving himself away.
The prosecutor's coming out right now. I can see the
No, but
What's
Mayor,
gonna-
you're right.
what-
He
what-
gave himself away by saying it's a political message.
Yeah,
in
but
his
we're giving him-
apology,
we're giving
he
the
knows it meant
lying-
kill Trump.
he
Look,
knew what he was saying.
Yeah.
This guy is not dumb.
Right.
I'll tell you that for sure. And his daughter is still in the U.S. Attorney's Office. She was trying hard to prosecute me, and they couldn't find any evidence, which will tell you how completely innocent I am.
Right.
She tried for 2 years to get me prosecuted.
Right.
They raided my house. They raided my law office. They took my iCloud account the day I started representing Trump so they could spy on Trump. It's completely illegal, and they won't give me the affidavits. I have to hire a lawyer to get the affidavits. You know why? Because they have nothing. And then they had to write a letter to the grand jury saying there's no probable cause to believe I committed a crime. So how do they have probable cause to search my house, search my law office, or take my iCloud account? What happened? It went away like that? No. They're lying. And I want the affidavit so I can sue the hell out of them.
Right.
And I got to believe that Comey's daughter was involved in that. I'm sorry, James. I believe your daughter was involved in it because I hear she's like worse than you are.
Well, this is DNI Tulsi Gabbard tonight with Jesse Waters on the incident.
Do you believe Comey should be in jail?
I do. Any other person with a position of influence that he has, people who take very seriously what a guy of his stature, his experience, and what the propaganda media has built him up to be.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I'm very concerned for the president's life. We've already seen assassination attempts. I'm very concerned for his life. And James Comey, in my view, should be held accountable and put behind bars for this.
100%.
There's
I
no other way
really
to interpret
believe,
this.
guys, if they had, and this is a mistake of President Trump. I don't mind telling you, I urged him to prosecute Hillary and Comey and the whole group of them. And he felt, and I kind of agreed with it once he
At the
said it.
time.
He felt it's not the right thing to do. We shouldn't be the one that starts the third world banana republic, prosecute your predecessor. They did, right? They started that. So maybe that was right, maybe that was wrong. But I've always thought if we prosecuted a few of them, we might have cut some of it down. Because nothing stops you better than the fear of going to jail. I don't care who you are, Biden, Hunter Biden, Obama. By the way, Obama belongs in jail probably more than anybody else. Giving money to the Ayatollah was like giving money to bin Laden.
Directly.
He gave him billions of dollars to kill Americans.
Cash.
Yeah, the guy should be in jail for the rest of his life, not walking around being a billionaire. But in any event, Trump, I was like 51-49. I understood the wisdom of not turning on your predecessor. But then I always regretted as they continued it. Maybe if we had prosecuted them, we could have slowed them down. They would have realized we mean business. Now, the problem is here we are now, we're still not prosecuting them.
Well, it's worse.
And I'm getting really upset. I'm not upset yet because it does take time to put these cases together. But I want to see some of these people, like some of the judges who put the J6 people in jail and tortured them. This is torture, what they did.
Right.
They should be held accountable. The District of Columbia Circuit isn't even an American court. It should be done away with, and we should do something else with it, like a Soviet. I was tried by them. I didn't get anything close, a fair trial. I went to law school. I tried 100 cases. This was ridiculous. What I went through was ridiculous, and I didn't go to jail. So I imagine what those J6 people went through. Somebody's got it. This will happen again unless we make them pay for it.
Well, you have to have legitimate rule of law, and everyone must abide. Like, if you don't have actual prosecutable laws,
yeah, and we
you
do.
just have suggestions,
and we do. We have unbelievably good cases
But
against them.
look at the impact it has culturally, though. Look at the degenerates and the crime all over this country because everybody is taking their cues from the top.
Yep.
Depending on your politics, depending on your skin tone, depending on your religious background, you may or may not get charged. Just if you fit the right category, you may be released.
So
you may be defended. Your family may become multimillionaires depending on which of these categories you fall under. That's where the country's at right now. I think to me, it's about law and order and justice. It has to be blind. It has to be consistent. And it has to be across the board for everybody, left, right, center, and everything else. And if you don't do that, then it's like trying to play a game, you're playing football with no lines on the field, with no definitive touchdown.
100%. That's not justice.
And arbitrary referees.
Right. Humans don't operate that way. Like just any country. Humans require boundary and understanding. What are the parameters for which I can aspire and work within to achieve what I'm trying to achieve? When those boundaries get removed, you get what we have right now.
Yeah, 100%. It's like I had a law school professor who taught criminal law and jurisprudence, and he used to say American law is like a well-regulated basketball game. I shoot, I get 2 points. I shoot beyond the line, I get 3 points. Now, all of a sudden, if a basketball game becomes I shoot, I get 2 points, and you shoot, you get 10. What kind of game is that?
Right.
And that is what they've imposed on us.
Right.
And that is even what they've imposed on trade that he's trying to fix. If they charge us 100% tariff and we charged a 10% tariff, how is that free trade? That doesn't even get close to, that's unfair trade. So if we charge the same tariff, or like he's doing now, so they say he didn't get the best of China, like hell he didn't. They're charging us 10%, we're charging them 30%. That's 3-1, we got the best of them. Number two, they've released all of the rare earth minerals, which we're going to get, which is really the most important. Honestly, we could do without China, except for that. Maybe pharmaceuticals, but we've done a good job really backing that up with India and the United States. We could get by on pharmaceuticals if we had to. It's the rare earth minerals where we have to catch up. And that's why he was so emphatic about the deal with Ukraine. And he didn't want to give it away because Trump is such a good negotiator. He doesn't want you to know how bad he wants it.
Right.
Right? He didn't want Zelensky to know how bad he wants it, because who knows what Zelensky would have asked for. But, I mean, nobody understands the subtlety of this man. Because he sometimes exaggerates, and because he sometimes will say 50,000 instead of 25,000, they don't take him seriously. But this guy has an enormously complex mind, better than the people he's negotiating with. He's way ahead of them. I mean, I knew what he was doing from the moment he started with the tariffs. And I'm not a big tariff person, or I don't consider tariffs like moral. Tariffs are a tactic. You either use them right or you use them wrong. Right. And I had no doubt he would use them brilliantly. And he has. So far, look at the investments we're getting in the United States.
And everybody's at the table. Currently.
Yep.
Everyone's at the table. That's the most important part, is conversations and dialogue and negotiations are taking place that previously were not. That's the big thing. You get everybody back to the table, and all of a sudden,
well, I got to get you back.
Yeah, absolutely.
You are terrific. Look
Thank
at
you.
this. Look at this. Look at this. You're unbelievable, by the way.
Oh,
You're
thank
so
you, sir.
damn creative.
It's an honor to meet you, sir.
It's an honor to meet you.
That's-
Now I know who's behind all those things I laugh at.
Well, we're a
That's
team.
true.
Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah, that's a good one, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sending it. And thank you for coming back. I really appreciate it very, very much. And I have to say to both of you, all you have done played a very big role in our being able to save America. So you should feel very proud of what you did.
Thank you, sir.
I mean, it was a joint effort. The president, of course, had two assassination attempts, but he couldn't have done it without all of us. He knows that.
Yeah. Well, it's just our
your
part.
contribution was really significant.
That means a lot, sir. But you're an American icon.
Well, thank you.
I mean,
thank you. But
I'm from California.
I love this country.
But
I mean,
what you did during 9/11, like when you said we're all New Yorkers, that remember the Madison
Yeah, well,
Square
you know.
Garden concert? And I read in Cigar Magazine all the funerals you went to,
Yeah.
all the things you did.
Jeff.
It's legend. And so your ripple effect went all the way across to
Well,
California. So I just want you to know how important you are.
You know, they can believe it or
to
not.
America.
They can believe it or not, but it comes from, I just love America.
I know you do. And that
I'm just in-
resonates.
I'm
And that's
in
why
love-
we love America.
From the day I was born, I was in love with America. My parents, my religion, my friends, my associations, working for Ronald Reagan. He's the only president I ever
Legend.
worked for. I was Donald Trump's lawyer, but I worked for Ronald Reagan. And when I see Reagan's picture behind him, I say, that's good. Just take a look at him. Just take a look at him. You remember.
Well, we appreciate you because we can, I mean, just being here talking with you is a big deal
You know,
because
I once got in a lot of trouble in the middle of the Obama presidency when I went to see a group of Republicans, a fundraising group of Republicans, and I thought it was private, but I would have said it publicly. I was giving a speech and I said, you know, I don't know. I was just kind of thinking. And I said, I think Obama's big problem is he doesn't love America. So that got out.
I remember that.
And I got condemned. But you know what I did? I said, I don't, you want to change that? No, I want to double down on it.
I believe it's true.
I've never heard the man say, every American president, even Clinton, I heard him say, I love America at some point. And I know my boss, even his wife would say she was jealous that he loved America more than her. So I've never heard this man, this is before Trump, never heard this man say he loves America. That's a big gap. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to concede it. Screw you. And
He went around
man,
apologizing on behalf of America to the world.
yeah.
Like he actually was ashamed of it.
And
It
I
was
think
literally
I
the
have come
opposite.
down to the fact that I think that's the most important thing. How much do you love America?
well,
And this man, Trump, for whatever right and wrong, he loves America.
he does. But see, our vision is
And you do.
inspired by you because we say fighting and saving America, but why are we saving it? The culture has been lost. And so we're reminding, hey, there's Rudy Giuliani
Yeah.
and what you are to
but it's
America and what you've meant to us. And
It's
same
the
thing with
founding
President Trump.
fathers, really.
What are we fighting for?
Well,
This
the
right
founding
here?
fathers. It's reestablishing or establishing what they meant it to be.
100%.
And they were right. And we're, in comparison to them, we're not as educated and we're not as smart. They were
Thank God
brilliant.
for, I
They
thank
were
God for
brilliant.
President Trump.
They were brilliant people guided by, I think, God.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, thank you. very,
Thanks for
very
having
much.
us.
Thank you, sir. It's
Thank
been
you.
an honor again.
It's an honor.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Ted, good job.
Thank you, Mayor.
Are there some
And thank you to
cigars
the
in our future?
Dilly Meme team, of course, Mayor. We've been following them for
Yeah.
a long time. I've been a big fan for a very long time.
Now I may not talk for 2 weeks. You may have to do tomorrow night.
Yeah, but we love the Dilly Meme team. This is, of course, we got Brendan here, Miguel California. I'm gonna over the next couple weeks we'll highlight the work of some of the others, just great people. They've done some good videos of you, Mayor. So we'll pull those out in the days and weeks ahead. But you're looking at someone who was very instrumental in protecting the president in both the primary and then, of course, in the general. And as he said, Mayor, the primary. They were willing to take
people who think the primary, but nowadays, you
Yeah.
look at it.
Look back at
primary
it.
was obvious,
and we knew
There
who had the
was-
talent, right? We all
he and I were always
and these guys were too
optimistic about Trump, but our friends weren't. Even
We
the
had
ones
friends.
who, even the ones who love him.
Yeah.
No, I'm
We
not
won't out anybody. We're not gonna
there
out
were
anybody,
people who
but we
double
know.
crossed. There were people who double crossed him and went over to one of the jerk offs.
You're right. Yeah.
But
we had
but,
Sorry, the
but we had
jerk-offs.
people who loved him and wanted him and couldn't stand the jerk offs, and they'd say he's not going to win.
Right.
And I would say, "Come on, no, they're going to get him. He's just making too many mistakes." I mean, it was like unbelievable. But they loved him and they wanted him.
Right. But they didn't.
So it was a close primary.
Right. So for that, and a lot of
Until it
people,
wasn't.
yeah,
Until it wasn't. Yeah.
But
It's like a Mike Tyson
Until
fight.
Iowa, and then it was
Yeah.
not very close.
oh come on,
It was
the mayor's
over.
being
No.
nice.
There was a
34
period
minutes.
of time, Ted, when it was a close primary.
It was
You got to go back.
January
Oh,
of the
yeah.
previous year.
Yeah, you
Well,
got
the
to go
media,
back.
yes, you're right. The media and even the party, right? Our own party,
Oh,
they
come
wanted
on.
to make it into a thing,
Yes.
and you're right. So they forced it into a thing. But Brendan and his team, Miguel California, Mike, as I now know him as, they were, they went out there when it wasn't.
No, you
necessarily,
guys
an
did a
easy
great
thing to
job.
do.
And I'm going to tell you another thing. Another fiction is that he won it because he was indicted. You don't want it anyway. There's no question the indictments help because he got the message out. Because he got the message out.
Yeah.
Every time he got indicted, it looked more stupid.
Right.
Yeah.
But he would have won that primary based on all the things people did, including you guys and him,
Right.
no matter what.
I think that the indictments actually, I could make an argument that they hurt in the primary.
Yeah.
They benefited the general.
Absolutely.
So, because I think just by nature, conservatives looked at those indictments and were very worried about wasting them.
I was always sure he was going to win, but I never thought he'd win by the margin he did because I thought the indictments would take a bigger
Right.
chunk out of him.
But it made him a cultural icon.
Yeah,
All the great
yeah.
pictures,
When they
mug
turned,
shots,
then I was sure. The minute he got convicted and he went up 3 points, I said, "Holy God Almighty! Who gets convicted of a felony and goes up 3 points?"
Yeah. Oh, everything
Wow.
everything
That
boomerang.
mug-
It was
that
so
mug
good.
shot was-
You better stop. They were going to prosecute him in Arizona
Yeah.
because I'm in that. They prosecuted me in Arizona, and they prosecuted all of his people, Mark and everyone.
Right.
We were going to see you in Georgia because we went
When
down
Georgia,
there.
I am prosecuted.
Remember? We went down
Yeah.
there.
And then the mob.
We were down
And then
in
we got
Houston.
out of there so
Right,
quick.
yeah.
I'm still under indictment
right,
with the president in Georgia. Both of us
We
are
were
under
talking about you
indictment.
coming out. Yeah.
We're still,
hoping
and I'm
you
under
guys,
indictment
will
in
you guys with us?
Arizona, both places. But Arizona, they were going to indict him, and somebody called down to the bloodthirsty attorney general and said, "If you indict him, he'll get elected by acclamation. Let him out of the indictment." And the jerk off went ahead and indicted everybody else but Trump.
Right.
And at that point, they had really overdone it.
Yeah.
4 indictments in 1 year. Holy! Nobody's ever been indicted 4 times. He used to make
Absurd.
the point Al Capone wasn't indicted 4 times.
Right. And now the left gets up in arms when we're arresting a local judge in Milwaukee.
Right.
Right. All of a
For
sudden, that's
harboring a
big-
criminal.
You got judges
Beyond the
with-
pale.
Right. You got gangbangers in their basement that are illegal, and we're like, "Oh, this is exploiting your power." It's like, what are you talking about?
But meanwhile, they're going after the president and their number one opponent, trying to put him in jail.
Right.
I clerked for a judge for 2 years. I never remember him helping a criminal get out.
2 criminals in the basement.
So you can't make it.
Or
It's almost
open the
like
door
parody.
and find a little
You can't
place
make
for
it
him to
up.
get out.
Back when laws were laws.
Or taking the criminal home to live with your daughter.
You can't make that up. I
Whoa.
still don't believe that story, right? That's
No.
insane.
No.
Like he's
Hey.
literally living in this home.
And I just resent the fact that his name is the same as a very famous Yankee player, Cano.
Oh, that is. You're right.
Robinson Cano would be ashamed of him.
Right. Right.
Well,
Well, we're well into hour number 4 here. So,
So-
yeah.
let's pray for Israel. Let's pray for always. We pray for the poor people of Ukraine. They're really just victims of Russia and their dishonest government, both. And they're getting killed for no reason now. I don't know why that is, but they're getting killed for no reason. So we should pray for them. And we should pray for the people of Iran who are this close to getting freed. If we would just bomb all those nuclear facilities, we'd get rid of that Ayatollah so fast, it'd make your head spin. And let's pray for the people of the United States and the president. Okay? So God bless America. We'll see you tomorrow night. Thank you. It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776.
one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able